Live in the YouTubes. Head source.
Yeah, it looks like you're good.
All right, cool. Put that there. All right. JRobin, do you want to do like an introduction or something? Position, state your position or whatever.
Yes. Let me see here. One second. All right. Yeah. So I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I am a Christian who believes that the God of the Bible is real. He's triune, 3 persons, and that the second person, Jesus Christ, has paid the price for all of our sins. With respect to worldviews, the Christian God is the only God that can ground knowledge, intelligibility, rationality, arguments, and more. Aside from him, you lack one or more of these things, which destroy things that are crucial to the human condition and human experience.
Okay, why can't all those be grounded in laws of nature without a mind?
Laws of nature?
Yeah.
What are the laws of nature?
Well, I said, why can't those be grounded in laws of nature?
Because the laws of nature, unless they are derivative of something that is foundational and ultimate themselves, are not going to be ultimately the reason. Laws of nature are descriptions. They don't have any causal power.
No, laws of nature describe things that exist, and those things that exist can be
Correct.
fundamental, which have causal power.
Yeah. So what are those things that exist that are fundamental?
Laws of nature.
No, the laws of nature are descriptions. They don't exist.
Yeah, they describe things. They
sense.
describe literal things, and those things, we use the word laws of nature to describe those things. Like if I ask what is God,
Right, so
God is God. So I don't need to give any further description. Laws of nature are the necessary foundations of reality that describe everything. They are the preconditions of intelligibility. They explain morality, logic, and give everything that humans require for reason.
Okay, so what do the laws of nature describe?
I don't understand the question. Like, do you not know what
you just said the laws of nature? You just said the laws of nature. No, I want to get your. I don't want to speak for you. I want to ask you.
You have to answer the question. I ask, why can't the laws of nature, which do not entail consciousness, explain all of those things?
Because in the world where there is laws of nature and you just have them existing in a vacuum, then they're not grounded in anything. Okay, so that's why I want to know from you in your position.
That's not an argument. So that's an assertion. Like I can just say the same thing about God.
Yes.
In a world where God is, he has to be grounded by something. And where God exists in a vacuum, he has to be grounded by something.
Okay, that's why I want to know what grounds the laws of nature.
Nothing. So laws of nature are necessary, just like you think God is.
Okay, so do they describe things? And if so, what do they describe?
I don't need to answer that because that's not part of the question. So again, you claimed it's impossible.
It is part of the question.
No, it doesn't matter. So you claimed it's impossible for the laws of nature to ground all of these things. You need to demonstrate that. Now, all you've said is, well, they must be grounded in something. Well, I can say God can be grounded in something. God must be grounded in something.
The laws of nature.
Let me finish the argument. So you asserted the laws of nature must be grounded in something. That's just you making shit up. Like I can assert God must be grounded in something. That's not evidence. So you would need to demonstrate that it is necessarily the case. The laws of nature can't explain all these things because they can.
Because the laws of nature don't stand in causal relation to anything. They are descriptions of things.
No.
So the laws of nature. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. No. You wanted me to let you finish.
You're strawmanning the position.
Well, I tried to ask.
You're strawmanning the position. I'm going to mute you. So when I say laws of nature, I'm referring to the thing themselves, not the description, the literal thing to which they are describing. Like if I say tree, I'm not talking about the word tree, I'm talking about the trees themselves. So laws of nature are the thing that exists. I don't need to give you any description other than they're not your God. That's all I need to say.
What are the laws?
I don't need to give you any further description other than you're not your God.
Well then, if you ask me why are the laws of nature inadequate, I want to know what that refers to.
No. You made the claim that they can't do it.
Listen, TJump.
You made the claim they can't do it, which means you have the burden of proof.
I'm not going to play this game with you, TJump.
No.
I want to know from you. If you tell me, listen,
dumbass, stop, or I'm going to mute you.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
I'm going to mute you.
TJump, we're not doing this.
Dumbass.
Okay, go ahead.
You made the claim that the laws of nature can't do this, which means you now hold the burden of proof. I don't need to give you anything. I don't need to say anything.
I didn't say the laws
made
of nature
claim.
can't do it.
Yes, you did. You literally said that.
No, I said only God grounds these things. If
Which
you come
means
forward
the laws
and
of
ask
nature
me,
can't do
hey,
it, right?
TJump, yeah, you can't. You got to control yourself, TJump.
No.
You need to control yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute you.
Okay,
I'm going to mute you. I'm going to
TJump.
mute you. So
Yeah,
you
you're
made
gonna
the claim.
keep threatening me with the
You
muting.
made the claim
keep
the laws of
doing that.
nature, because I asked you, why can't the laws of nature do this? You said they can't. So are you saying
because
that?
I had an
understanding.
I had an understanding of the laws of nature that apparently is not shared between both of us. Okay.
Okay.
If I tell you that God grounds these things, and you come forward and tell me, why doesn't the doodle bob ground this thing? I need to know what the doodle bob refers to. Okay. So I want you to tell me, what does the laws of nature refer to, so I can adequately respond. Otherwise, you're just giving me nonsense, and then I can just move on. I can just hand wave.
Because you made the claim that only God can do this. So you need to know
Okay,
every possible ideology. So if you don't know of it, you can't say, wait.
I do.
Wait, so if you don't know of every other ideology, then you can't say they don't ground those things. You can only say that you don't know that they can ground those things.
No, TJump. No.
Yes, that's literally logical.
You're the one that's coming. You're the one that's coming forward and giving me a. I don't know what it refers to. I don't know what nature refers to. It's not. I don't listen. TJump, you got to listen. I don't know what the laws of nature refers to if it doesn't refer to what I verbalized earlier. That the laws of nature are descriptions of how things in reality operate. If that's not what you're referring to, then I want to know what you're referring to when you tell me laws of nature. Then I don't know. Then I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
You made the claim. You hold the burden of proof because you claimed only God can do this.
TJump,
so I could say
I don't know what the laws. I don't know what those are.
So I can claim, why can't blurples do it? And you hold the burden of proof to show why blurples can't do it. I don't need to explain anything.
No, because I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Then you can't.
It could be nothing for all I know.
Then you can't make the claim they can't do it. If you don't know what it is.
Yes, I can.
Okay, how? How can you not know what it is and claim that they can't do it?
Because the Christian God has a property set, and those property sets are necessary for intelligibility. If the football crank lacks those properties,
right? That's what.
Then we can go into then. Well, then I want to know. I want to know. Then I want to know.
That's literally what I was asking. So I said all I need to tell you about the laws of nature is that they're different from your God, and then you need to show how they can't do it. So you claim that if it's different from your God, you need to show how they can't do it. And I told you it's not conscious. So
okay,
it's different from your God.
I want to know from you, what does it refer to? What are the laws? Are the laws of nature? Are the laws of nature? Yeah, TJump, you gotta have to focus with me. You have to stay with me, TJump.
I'm gonna mute you. So
I don't want to deal with an hour and a half.
There's a conclusion, there's premises, there's evidence. You made the claim that only the things that have the property of God can ground the preconditions of intelligibility and all this other stuff. I said the laws of nature have different properties than your God. I don't need to describe them. I just need to say it doesn't have the same properties of your God. One of the differences is it's not conscious. Now, you made the claim that if there is something that doesn't have the properties of God, and this one lacks consciousness, then it can't ground the laws of logic. So now you hold the burden of proof to show that a thing, whatever it is, I don't need to tell you anything else about it. It doesn't have consciousness, so it's not the same as your God. Therefore, for some reason, it can't ground logic based on what you said. Right?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So so are the laws of logic, or not logic, are the laws of nature?
No.
Descriptions. Hey, TJump, we're gonna have a back and forth conversation.
Yeah, you have to answer my question. You have to answer my question.
You're not going to railroad.
I'm not going to deal with my question.
Listen, yeah, TJump. I'm not going to deal with an hour and a half of this foolishness.
You have to answer the question. So I'm waiting for you to answer the question.
I am asking a clarificatory question.
You told me. No, it doesn't matter.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
If I don't know what the laws of, if I don't know, TJump.
I just explained to you the argument.
TJump.
Kid.
You've got to come at me with some A game, please.
Go back, kid.
Please.
Kid, go back. So the argument was.
Yeah, you're so childish. You're so childish. You're such a kid.
Tell me.
Yeah, you're the one that's childish.
Okay, you're
the kid.
You're muted.
What are you talking about?
You're gonna get server muted. So
go ahead.
Made the claim.
Do it, please.
You made the claim.
Run away.
Things that don't have God's properties can't explain the laws of nature. So I gave an example. Laws of nature. They do not have one of God's properties. Consciousness. Now, based on your argument, I need to tell you nothing else because you're a dumbass. It lacks one of the God's properties. Therefore, based on your dumbass claim, they can't ground anything. They can't ground laws of logic. So now I need to tell you nothing else just because You made the claim that if it lacks any of God's properties, it can't do this. I give you any object, I can name it blurples or whatever you used before, and say it lacks one of God's properties, consciousness, then from your own dumbass argument, you now hold the burden of proof to show how that thing which lacks that one property, whatever it may be, whatever else it may be, can't ground logic because it lacks this one property of God. You need to know nothing else about it. So until your dumbass can explain how it lacking that one property, whatever else it may be, can't ground everything, you've lost the argument because I've shown it can. So
yeah, that's the only thing you have is little childish insults, and it's not. Yeah, it's nobody's batting an eye. Okay, you didn't debunk anything. So you're telling me. Let me get this straight. Okay, you believe that the ultimate to all of reality, the reason why anything is, can be, and cannot be, you're calling that the laws of nature, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So are you gonna answer my question, or
this thing you're calling the laws of nature, this ultimate, it has properties, and one of the properties is that it doesn't have a mind, correct?
No, that's just one of the properties it doesn't have. That's not a property.
Well, that's what I meant to say. One of the properties it doesn't have is that it's not a mind. Okay, sure. Good. So then you lack your ability to know anything. Okay. What does? Are you talking about me personally or the? Yes.
Okay. How?
Yes. Because it doesn't engage in revelation. It's not a mind.
You don't need revelation to know things. Or I should ask, why do you think you need revelation to know things?
Because revelation refers to communication, one information from one mind to another. If you don't have that connection, which is necessary, minds are necessary for that connection, then you don't have knowledge. Because in a worldview, in such a worldview, you either have you're either operating as that which is ultimate and omniscient itself, or you're receiving revelation from that which is ultimate and in and of itself. Otherwise, you're left with your own mind, and your own mind as a finite being is unable to surmise and apprehend the nature of reality by itself, because you're finite by definition.
Okay, I'm looking at the definition of knowledge on every single philosophical book ever, and none of that is in there. So knowledge is a justified true belief. Nothing that you just said is anywhere in the definition. So how are you defining knowledge?
Oh, I'm defining it the same way you are. Justified true belief. You can work that. Yes.
You can have a justified true belief without revelation. So I'm not seeing the connection here.
No. In this world, you cannot, because whatever thing you're appealing to is ultimately going to be grounded in nothing. Whatever fact of the matter, whatever state of affairs you're referencing, you, as a finite mind, as a finite creature, you don't have any grounds or basis to make any assertion of reality because you're finite.
Okay, so which
part? It literally just follows. It just follows by definition.
No, it doesn't. So which part of justified true belief can you not have without revelation?
You don't have the justification.
Okay, what do you need for justification?
You need access to what is foundational and fundamental.
Why would you need that as a justification?
Because that's going to be grounding for everything else that does exist. Otherwise, you don't have
grounding for everything else that does exist. Well, you don't need that for knowledge.
Correct.
So why do you need that? Why do you think you need that for knowledge?
Yes, you do.
Why do you think?
Because otherwise, because if you're operating from a system where that which is ultimate is not there, or that which is ultimate is unidentified, then you're just referring to proximate starting points from a metaphysical void that emanate out of a metaphysical vacuum or metaphysical void.
And why can't those
in such a world? So because that's not how reality. Because in a world where there is just a metaphysical void, whatever proximate facts that you refer to, things like laws of logic, that everything that does occur is emanating out of a realm of randomness or chance. Every state of affairs in existence is spontaneous. So whenever you make an appeal, let me finish. Let me finish.
I know what you're talking about here.
I know that. Let me finish. So when you make an appeal, okay, to that which is ultimate, when you make an appeal to that which is foundational to all of reality, when you do that using proximate facts, your proximate facts are not actually representative of the nature of reality in such an instance.
Definitely can be.
Now you're not in any different. Let me finish.
That seems to be like your main point. I want to like that.
You have to let me finish. You have to let me finish. You have to let me finish. Is this how you get by in debates? Is this how you get by in debates, by over talking people?
Hold up. So
is this the only way you get by?
Wait. Your main point seemed to be that if you don't have access to the ultimate thing, then your proximate things can't accurately represent the fundamental nature of reality. Is that your argument?
Right, they wouldn't, by definition.
How so? Like, for example, I can think evolution is true. Let's say evolution is true and there's no God. And evolution comes up with an idea that the world is round. Now, it could be the case the world is round, metaphysically. Even if I don't have access to the ultimate nature of reality, that could be true, that the world is round, and I have a belief the world is round. Therefore, I have a belief that corresponds to the metaphysical nature of reality, even though I don't have access to the metaphysical nature of reality, right?
Yeah, but that, epistemically speaking, that would just be an epistemic random occurrence. That wouldn't be justification.
Random? What is a random occurrence?
No, it wouldn't be justification. Because you're operating epistemically from a worldview where that was the ultimate.
What's the randomness thing?
Let me finish. You're operating from a worldview that is no different from the one I verbalized.
Well, the worldview doesn't matter. I'm not asking about the worldview. I'm asking what is the random.
No, you are asking about a worldview. You're talking about the fact that your worldview is a worldview where you have this quote unquote law of nature that you're calling your ultimate.
That wasn't the question.
Hey, you gotta let me finish, TJump.
The question
you gotta let me finish.
The question was, is any
TJump,
random
you gotta control
person,
yourself.
Whoa, hold up. So the question
control
was,
yourself, please.
Well, hold up. So the question was, is a person like a monkey or whatever can evolve, has no worldview. It just thinks the world is round because of evolution. And that could be true. Like, it could be the case metaphysically that the world is round. Therefore, this has no worldview, of course. Just say, is it possible that evolution can come up with a belief without a God that does in fact correspond to the metaphysical nature of reality? Is that possible?
Yeah, but you don't have any metaphysical truth that you can have access to epistemically.
Well, that's
you don't have access to it.
So the question was, can evolution without God produce a belief that the world is round? And if it produces a belief that the world is round, it could be random, whatever, then could that be true? Could it be true that the world is round?
Yeah, that's not the issue. The issue isn't whether or not it's true. It can be true. Anything that you could happen to stumble across truth anywhere.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I thought that's what you said.
I didn't say the criterion was truth. I said the criterion was justification. Wait. Epistemically speaking, listen, let me finish. I said epistemically speaking, you're not in any different of a position as someone who holds to nothing being foundational and ultimate for the reasons that have been outlined earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't give any reasons, but the question,
I did.
I think we're making progress here. So you're saying that someone can have a belief and that belief can be true and can accurately describe the metaphysical nature of reality, but the justification thing is what they're missing. So that they can have a belief and the belief can be correct and given to them by evolution without a God. So they can have perfectly good knowledge. Like, every one of their beliefs could describe reality and be 100% true, but it's just lacking justification from your perspective.
Well, not every belief, not necessarily. For example, in the worldview, let me finish.
No, I agree. I didn't say necessarily. So I said it's possible
that
every belief they have could be true. So I didn't say it was necessary.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay, because and this is exactly what I was referring to with the parallel instance with a worldview where there is no ultimate, and it just so happens to be that that randomly the world that has spawned out of this ultimate realm of just a void and a vacuum is where there is no coherence. But the problem is that you may have a consistent framework. Yeah, you may have a consistent framework. Let me finish.
I'm not following.
You may have a consistent.
What you're saying.
You may have a consistent internal framework, but it's not actually going to be reflective of the broader or outside reality.
Well, that's the part I'm asking.
How do you know?
Wait. That was what I was asking. So I was asking, can a belief produced by evolution and randomness, can it possibly describe the external reality, the metaphysical reality? And you said, yes, it is possible for beliefs produced by evolution without a God to describe the fundamental nature of reality, the metaphysical reality. It's just by chance. You just lack justification. So it is possible for beliefs without a God to correspond to the metaphysical nature of reality, right? But it's not justified. They can correspond, though.
Okay, wait. I might have misunderstood your question. When you say without a God, what are you referring to? When you say a belief formed without a God, you're saying that they don't presuppose God ontologically, or that God doesn't exist.
I'm not sure. So, like, you said it was impossible that without a God, for you to form beliefs which correspond to reality, something like that, right? And
Yeah, form belief that corresponds. Yes.
Right. My argument is that if there's no God, just evolution, or God could be there, but he doesn't do anything, just like evolution just created you randomly without like a deistic God who doesn't interact with the universe or whatever. Either way, evolution can produce beliefs in your brain that correspond to reality, and you don't need any kind of God interference to get that. Evolution itself can give you a belief which is true about reality.
Yeah, you can stumble upon true beliefs, correct?
Okay, so you can have true beliefs without a God, and so the thing you're missing is the justification. So what do you require for, like, what is your definition of justification?
Ultimately, it's going to tie back to revelation. That is going to ultimately tie back to God's existence.
Okay, so what's your definition of justification?
A causal chain or some sort of a revelation that is there that will ground the veracity of claims.
Like if I said, what is evidence? Evidence is this ruler. Well, that ruler wouldn't be evidence. That ruler is an example of evidence. So I'm asking for like what your definition of evidence is, that which revelation meets that criterion and other things don't.
It conforms to God himself, to God's mind, or to God's plan or will.
Conforms to, I don't understand. Like, what is your definition of your justification is conforms to God? I don't understand how that fits a definition of justification. Like
justification, if I tell you that I'm justified in believing this proposition, it's because whatever thing I'm pointing to and the inferences I make are derivative of that which God has put in place.
Okay, so
revelation, general or special form.
So typically in philosophy, justification means a reason to believe some proposition is more likely true than false.
Correct, and I'm referring to revelation, general and special revelation.
Okay, so your definition of justification is the same as philosophy, where it's things that make it more likely to be true than false.
Well, I'm being more specific with respect to the position, because I believe that justification will ultimately have to do with what God has revealed, either generally or in special revelation.
Okay,
that's what I'm referring to specifically.
So what you would agree, the definition of justification is things that make it more likely to be true than false. Is that?
Generally speaking, sure, but it's not divorced from God's revelation.
Okay, so we're trying to figure out what things can make things more likely to be true than false.
You're cutting out.
Can you hear me fine now? Is it fine?
Yes.
So yes. The question is what counts as justification? What gives us what makes one thing more likely to be true than another? And you're saying it's God's revelation.
Yeah, an appeal to God's revelation. So we could use something like an empirical methodology within God's world, because there are things like regularity, there are things like laws of logic, laws of nature. So in that sense, we can make appeals to those things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was asking. So how does God's revelation, or what you think God's revelation is, make things more likely to be true than false?
Because God revealed it.
Well, that's the definition of revelation. But the question is like, how do you know, how does that make something more likely to be true? Like God could have revealed something that's false.
It doesn't make something, it's not about, that's why I'm telling you, I have a more specific definition of justification. It's not about being more likely to be true in a sense that we're talking about, going under, because if we're talking about like an empirical methodology, sure. But I'm saying that when it comes to affirming beliefs, ultimately, if it's justified, it's going to rely back on the revelation of God, either in general or special revelation form.
Okay, I'm not following at all what you're saying here. So in philosophy, justification is a reason to believe that the thing is more likely true than false. So it doesn't.
Yeah, but I'm telling you that what I'm using is slightly different. You can use that in a general sense, but I'm saying that more specifically, what I'm referring to is that God's revelation is going to be the appeal that we make, or something that we appeal to in order to justify beliefs. Okay, so God's general revelation or God's special revelation is what we're going to be appealing to. It's called a revelatory epistemology.
Right. I understand that you say that revelation is your justification. That's what you use as justification. That's what you use.
Yes.
Let me see if I can phrase it this way. So the reason you think math and logic are true or whatever is because you have revelation from God. So revelation is the justification you are using. But revelation isn't the definition of justification. Like the definition of justification would be the reason why something is more likely to be true than false. So the reason why it's more likely true that logic works or whatever is because you have revelation of God. Is that accurate?
Sure. You could phrase it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is how does getting revelation from God, or what you think is revelation from God, make something more likely to be true than false?
No, it makes it true. Not about being more likely true or false.
That would be the.
So like, I'm telling you, I'm not using that.
Yeah,
I think
I understand what you're saying. So this isn't a probability thing. So it's like saying if it makes it 100% more likely, that's still more likely. So 100% it's necessarily true. So if it's making it higher than 50-50 or higher than 0, then it's making it more likely. So even if you think God's revelation is perfect and gives you 100% knowledge, that would still be making it more likely to be true. So it's 100% more likely. So the question is
then God's, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about the fact that God is always truth revealing, then that's what I would tell you. God is always truth revealing, and so anything that has been revealed and is established to have been revealed, then that's how you know that God has revealed something truthfully towards you.
Right. So the question is how do you know that your revelation is correct and not a delusion? Aliens.
Because the Christian God, by the way, I'm not claiming that everything that I claim to know is actual knowledge, but there are certain things that you do know infallibly, and one of those things is the existence of God, actually.
Right.
Okay? So because he's made himself clear.
Right. So like of all the things that are revelation, I don't know what that list is, but of all the things that are revelation, how do you know those are all true and not just things that have been made up by aliens to mess with your head, essentially, or
because they've been revealed.
Okay, so could aliens or a scientist stick an electrode in your brain and make you feel like some fact was revealed by God?
Sure, but we're not talking about that. And at that point, we're not talking about what is foundational or ultimate to all things. The Christian God is, and he is the reason why anything is, can be, cannot be, necessarily why there is knowledge, why there is intelligibility, rationality, arguments, etc.
Okay, so the question was so if scientists or aliens can make you feel like any proposition X is revealed and foundational, does that mean it's justified? If scientists stick an electrode in your head and make you feel falsely that this is
no, then by definition it wouldn't be justified. By definition, if it's false.
Okay, so if you have a revelation,
or it wouldn't be knowledge. It wouldn't be knowledge.
Yeah,
at that point.
Absolutely. So the question would be is how do you know any of the things that you see as revelation aren't like that? Aren't things that have been put into your brain falsely by aliens or hallucinations or delusions?
Because God exists and he's foundational to all of reality. All you're doing by inputting this thing, you're just adding another variable to the equation that doesn't actually answer the real question as to what it is that's going to be the reason why anything is, can be, and cannot be. At that point, you're not actually addressing the question. You're just pushing the can further down the road.
I'm asking you a question.
Or not question, but you're not addressing the issue. You're just pushing the can further down the road.
So the question,
the issue here is what is it that is foundational, ultimate to all of reality, and the reason why anything is, can be, and cannot be.
Right. So you claim that.
So let me finish. So adding a variable of scientists and electrodes doesn't change what it is that's foundational and ultimate to all of reality. Okay. So I couldn't be wrong. Right. You're asking me, could I be wrong about certain things? Yes, but not with respect to God's existence. That's not something you could be wrong about. Okay.
So the question was:
there's an innate awareness of God's existence.
Right. So the innate awareness can be compelled by scientists. Scientists can create that innate awareness, so it can be false.
No, not that. No. That's not possible.
So scientists can't stick an electrode in your brain and make you stop believing in God or start believing in God.
Not the way that God would be able to. No.
Because we can do this. We've done this in a lab. We know we can stick an electrode in your brain. There's the damage to the corpus callosum can cause different parts of your brain to be religious and non-religious. So we know we can literally.
Yeah, those are just like little generalized studies. Those don't actually address whether or not people have an innate or a precognitive awareness as to who God is.
You can't have precognitive awareness. That's literally a contradiction.
Well, in a sense, that is innate to our very experience.
Okay, so if scientists
So I'm referring
can manipulate your beliefs like that, and they could be produced by aliens, then how do you know that innate belief that you have isn't false?
Because the innate belief is not in the same category of beliefs that we're talking about here.
Well, that's what by innate belief. What I mean is literally the thing you're talking about. So whatever you call.
Okay, well then it's not in the
revelation.
category. It's not in the category of these other beliefs that you're talking about. That are just like proximate starting points. We're talking about what is foundational.
No, so you have a belief that God is foundational. That belief could be produced by aliens, therefore it could be false. So how do you know that that belief?
No, it couldn't. No. Okay, that's the claim. How do you know that?
I asked, could aliens produce this belief that you have?
You just told me that they could. So substantiate that.
Well, because I asked, that was the first question. The first question was, could this belief that you have, that things that are foundational or ultimate or whatever, could the revelations be a product of aliens messing with your brain?
Not with respect to the existence of God himself. No.
So how could
possibly other things, but not with respect to the God's existence.
Okay, how could aliens of a sufficient technology not mess with your brain to cause this belief and have it be false?
Because God has said that no one is without excuse, so everyone's going to have an innate awareness of God's existence, and so somebody taking it away is not going to be. It's not going to change that.
So that belief is a part of the things that aliens
attempting to change.
So that both the belief of the revelation and that in the revelation are both things the aliens put into your brain. How do you know that both of those things aren't just? Because
God revealed that cannot be the case.
Okay, but that's also the thing.
That's the only answer. That's the only answer I'm going to give you. So if you want to keep answering me that for the next hour,
for a little bit. So
I'm not going to give you a different answer.
So God's revelation plus in God's revelation, it says that no one has an excuse, and those things are both in the revelation. And they've both been placed into your brain. Both of those things could have been placed into your brain by aliens and be false. And you're saying they're not.
How do you know that?
Because it's logically possible.
So there are laws of logic, for example. Is that what you're telling me? There are laws of logic.
Well, I asked you. So I asked you, is it possible that aliens?
You just made a claim. No. You just made a claim. Yeah, you don't. The problem is that you don't want to actually be held to account for the claims that you're making. I asked you, is it possible? I
asked you, is it possible for aliens to do this? You said no. So I'm asking, how is this not possible? I'm not understanding how this is not possible.
Because God has revealed that that's not possible. That's the only answer I'm going to give you. So if you want to keep asking me the same question for the next hour, you can.
Right. So
you're not going to get anywhere, though. The problem is that you don't understand because you don't want to understand.
Right. So I'm asking you who understands. So
let me finish. God has revealed certain things that you cannot be wrong about. One of those things is that he exists himself. Okay. And that's not something that one can be wrong about. Everyone has an accurate and a sufficient presentation of God's existence, as Romans 1 says, that no one is without excuse because that which can be known about God has been made clear to them. So everyone has an innate awareness of God's existence. Everyone. Now, you're the one that's trying to claim that that's not possible, or that it's possible that that could be, compromised somehow. That's the claim that you're making.
Sort of. Well, I'm not.
Now, if you're trying to ask me.
So my question
you made numerous times you made the claim that could be compromised by somebody else.
That's because you said it correct. So I asked you, is it possible that this could be produced by aliens? You said yes, then you said no. So the question
No, because I didn't understand your question.
That's fine.
You said foundational beliefs, and I said, okay, there are certain foundational beliefs that some people may have that are not true or whatever.
That's fine. So
with respect to God's existence.
Perfectly fine. So you said that these certain foundational beliefs can't be produced by aliens or someone with sufficient technology to mess with your brain. What is your evidence to support that?
God's revelation.
So the revelation is the thing that's supporting the fact that the revelation can't be a delusion.
Well, God's supporting that, and I know that because of his revelation.
Right. So your revelation, the reason you know your revelation is true is because of the revelation.
Correct. It's known as a revelatory epistemology. So every question of knowledge is going to be answered by revelation.
So circular reasoning, viciously circular, that proves that it's completely unfounded, essentially.
It's not viciously circular. Okay. Actually,
what's the difference?
It's not unfounded either.
What's the difference between vicious and virtuous circularity, and how is it not vicious?
because we're referring to that which is foundational and ultimate, and in that sense, or in that with that regard, there is nothing higher to that.
Okay, the question was what is the definition of vicious and the definition of virtuous circularity? Like, what are the criteria on
I didn't say vicious. You're the one that said vicious.
Right. I said it's viciously circular. So if it's viciously circular, that means you can justify anything using the same viciously circular reasoning. You said it's not viciously circular. So I mean, if you don't want to make that claim, that's fine. So so it's not viciously circular. What is the criterion that makes something viciously circular? And how do you know
if it's not with respect to what is foundational and ultimate?
Okay, that's not correct at all. So that's nowhere in the definition of vicious circularity.
Well, then that's the definition that you using. When I say vicious circularity,
Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Yeah.
You asked me how I define something, so I'm telling you how I define it. If it's different from how someone else defines it, then that's a different conversation entirely.
That's fair. Okay?
So
in philosophy, in the philosophical definitions of vicious and virtuous circularity, that would be viciously circular, and you can say it's not by your definition, but by the definition in every philosophy textbook, it's viciously circular. Would you agree?
Okay. Can that which is ultimate appeal to anything independent or higher than itself?
Well, would you agree to the question?
No, I don't agree to it. Can that which is ultimate?
Why not?
Can that which is ultimate? Can that?
Wait.
Are you telling me it was a question that do people agree to a different definition of vicious circularity? Is that what your question was?
No,
or is that
the question was by that definition that all the philosophers agree to, what you just gave would be viciously circular.
I don't know what all philosophers agree to, so I'm not going to agree or disagree to that statement.
That's fair.
I want to know from you. I want to know from you. I want to know from you.
I'll let you ask it. So I just want to know for the audience. Yes, that is viciously circular by the definition used in every single philosophy textbook. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I want to know from you, can that which is ultimate appeal to anything independent or higher than itself? Without
know what that means. Like, I think what is ultimate doesn't have a mind, so it doesn't appeal to anything.
Well, is there anything higher than what is ultimate that is going to substantiate that which is ultimate is real, and that which it reveals is true? Okay, good. So then it would have to only appeal to itself. It could only ground itself with respect to its existence and revelation.
Well, it doesn't appeal to anything, and it has no revelation. And I showed revelation is viciously circular, so that's not required.
No. When we're appealing to that which is ultimate and foundational to all of reality, either its existence is going to be verified, or its existence is going to be causally linked or causally derivative from something that is higher or independent of itself.
I'm not following.
Or not.
So
look, I'll explain it again. I'm going to say it slowly this time. I'm going to say it slower. So I want you to follow and track with me. When we're appealing to that which is ultimate, either it will be the case that its existence and that its revelation are causally verified. It's true in virtue of something, and this thing is true in virtue of is higher than or independent of that which is ultimate. Is that possible logically?
No, if it's ultimate, then it's ultimate. So you're just giving me the definition of ultimate, but I'm not following how this is relevant. So yeah, I agree. I agree. There's a necessary thing.
If you're using vicious and virtuous in the sense that you're talking about, I'm not really interested. I don't care.
Okay,
I don't really care about that, because that's not what I'm talking about.
Wait. So you said you're using the same definition of knowledge that I am. Now, in my definition of knowledge, you can't use vicious circularity in the philosophical definition, because then that undercuts justification. That proves it's not justified. That proves it's arbitrary. So by my definition of justification, what you just gave fails as justification and doesn't count as knowledge. So your revelation fails as knowledge by my definition, whereas my definition works just fine.
So your definition is justify true belief, and what is justification?
A reason to believe that a proposition is more likely true than false.
Okay. Now, in your worldview, how do you substantiate the existence of this ultimate law of nature? What is that? How do you substantiate its existence?
You don't need to for knowledge. So you don't actually need to know that for knowledge.
So you don't. So how did you determine that this thing exists?
Well, I don't. So like, if I have a belief that.
So you don't know. Wait.
So knowledge doesn't apply to the necessary thing. Like, I can have knowledge that my butt itches. Does that tell me anything about the necessary thing? No, I don't need to know anything about the necessary thing to know my butt itches.
Okay, you told me that this being exists. I want to know, is there a reason why you believe that it exists?
Sure, I think there's a necessary thing, but that's a different
Okay,
topic.
is that an empty assertion and assumption, or is that grounded in anything?
Yeah, it is definitely grounded in something, but that's different from the because we were just having a definition about what counts as knowledge, and this is a separate topic. So just going with the definition of knowledge, like I think you asked, like, how do I ground knowledge or something? So I ground knowledge in cogito. I think, therefore I am. I can't think I exist and be wrong at any time in any possible universe. God couldn't make me do it. If God existed, it would be impossible for me to think I exist and not exist. So that means I'm in reality. So I have a connection to the ultimate nature of reality. I don't know what everything about reality is or what it's fundamentally made of, but I don't need to. All I need to know is one thing in reality, which is absolute, which is that I can't think and not exist.
Okay. How did you determine that this ultimate exists? That's what I want to know. How did you determine it exists?
Because I can't think and not exist. Therefore, there must be the ultimate thing, which I'm a part of.
So wait, hold on a minute. Now you're telling me you're a part of it and it's not separate from reality. So
reality is the ultimate thing. So I'm a part of reality.
Okay. Well, originally you told me the laws of nature were ultimate.
Yeah, those are synonymous. The laws of nature describe reality. Reality is the ultimate thing.
No. The laws of nature
describe reality.
Exactly. They describe reality. So then they're not reality themselves.
Right. They describe reality. They describe the properties of reality, which is reality itself.
So then the laws of nature are not ultimate. Reality would be ultimate.
Correct? Laws of nature is synonym with the thing it's describing, which is reality. So all those terms mean the same thing.
So reality is ultimate in your position?
Yes, reality is ultimate. Okay. Is it not in yours? Do you disagree with that?
Does reality refer to all things in existence?
Sure.
Okay. Is anything in existence in the set of all things? Are they all eternal or are any of them contingent?
Sure, lots of them are contingent.
Okay, so then reality is not ultimate.
No, reality is still ultimate.
No, if reality refers to the set of all things, and you tell me that, or not the set of all things, but if reality refers to everything in existence, and you tell me that there are certain things that are in existence that are not ultimate or not eternal, then reality itself
composition division fallacy. So when I say reality is ultimate, that doesn't necessarily mean that's literally a composition division fallacy. So when I say reality is ultimate, that doesn't literally mean everything in reality is ultimate.
No, that's what it means. I just asked you a clarificatory question. If you say reality, and by reality you're referring to everything that exists, then you're telling me everything that exists is ultimate. And for something to be ultimate,
composition division fallacy.
No, it's okay. Look, so hold on a minute. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Reality equals everything that exists, correct?
Sure.
Okay, so let me just write this down. Everything that exists is ultimate.
No, false.
Okay, so then reality does not refer to everything that exists.
Nope. So I can say Tom is a person. People are made of cells. Tom is a cell. Oh, composition division fallacy. So when I say reality is ultimate, that doesn't mean everything in reality is ultimate. It just means some feature of reality is ultimate. Some property.
No. Then reality wouldn't be ultimate. It would be some property or some entity in reality.
It would still be reality. The word reality would still apply there. So some property of reality, which is also called reality, is ultimate. So that's how words work.
Okay. You just told me reality equals everything in existence, correct?
Yes. And that's still a composition division fallacy.
If reality refers to everything in existence, then you're telling me everything in existence is ultimate.
I've already corrected you on this. If you're too stupid to understand, that's your problem. So if I say reality and reality is ultimate, that means some property in reality is ultimate, and that's sufficient. That is sufficient.
Okay, so then so some property in reality is ultimate.
Sure.
Okay. What is this property in reality that's ultimate?
I don't know. That's the reason why anything is. I don't need to for my argument.
So then you don't actually have access to what it is that's ultimate in your position.
Yes, because I'm a part of reality. So
that doesn't mean you have access to what it is that's ultimate.
Yes, it does, because I can't not
and
be
that
in reality.
And that statement itself depends that there is an ultimate.
No, yes, it does. Yes, I can have access to the ultimate in reality because I can't both think I exist and not exist at the same time. Therefore,
you just told me you don't know.
Finish the argument. So you
don't have access by definition.
Wait. So I can say I have access to some part, and that part is sufficient. And that part is that I can't both think I exist and not exist. And that whatever feature of reality instantiates that is something I have access to. And so I have access to the fundamental nature of reality, even though I don't need to know anything about it, other than it instantiates that one fact. So I can say that knowing that there is some ultimate instantiates some indefeasible fact gives me access to the ultimate, even, and I don't need to know anything else about the ultimate, nothing else.
Okay. That's indifferentiable. What you
What?
just told me is indifferentiable from a world.
It's not a word, but
where indifferentiable. Yes, it is. It can't be differentiated.
Indifferentiable.
Yeah,
Oh.
indifferentiable. It's not. Listen. You cannot differentiate between what you just told me, what you just verbalized, and a world where you exist spontaneously out of a realm of chance or out of a metaphysical void.
Well, it still exists.
And within that system, hold on a minute. Hold on. Within that system, there are no actual laws of logic, for example. Okay, there are no laws of nature. No, there aren't. There,
no.
you may listen.
Wait, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. So wait.
You may within this. Let me finish.
I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding. I'm asking a clarifying question here. So you're saying that I can pop into existence, but somehow I can think I exist and don't exist?
Yes. And that in the worldview where there is a yes, I'm explaining it to you. I'm explaining it to you.
Please go ahead. Explain to me how I can think I exist and not exist at the same time. Go.
Because in the world that you're espousing, there are no laws of logic. It may be the case that locally you may have some laws that may have been established, but in the grand scheme of things, these things don't actually exist.
Okay, so
they just spontaneously came into existence, and they're not actually there. So your belief states
they
not
spontaneously exist but don't exist.
Yeah, any state of affairs that you appeal to, any state of affairs that occurs is born out of chance. It's random. It's spontaneous.
But it exists. That
is indifferentiable. That's indifferentiable. Well, no, that's not necessarily the case. That wouldn't necessarily be the case either.
So they come into existence but don't exist.
Yeah, that would be perfectly fine within the worldview that I'm talking about, because what is ultimate doesn't exist. There is no ultimate. Okay, so you have contradictions. You have incoherency.
Well, what you
have contradictions.
You're saying a contradiction. So in your worldview, there's clearly a contradiction because you think that things can exist and not exist if your worldview is false, which is clearly a contradiction. So because in my worldview, that doesn't work. Like in my worldview, that can't occur. So in your worldview, you think there's contradictions. So how is it possible?
That's not the issue here. That's not the issue. What I'm telling you is that the position you're espousing, okay, is indifferentiable, okay, from the world where everything that occurs is spontaneous. There are no laws of logic, which leads to incoherency, which wouldn't even be a problem in that.
Well, I can definitely differentiate between that. So I can say, I can differentiate. You said I couldn't differentiate. I can differentiate because I can't think I exist and not exist. Like in my worldview.
Yeah, how do you know that?
How do I know? How do I know logic does?
The laws of logic don't stand in causal relation to anything.
That's right. They describe reality. Reality exists.
Right. So they don't stand. So then they don't stand in causal relation to anything.
Right. They describe reality. Reality is the thing causing this. Reality is the thing causing me to be able to exist or to think I exist and not exist. It's not the laws. The laws, as you said.
So is reality.
So laws of logic are exactly like the laws of nature. They describe nature, or they describe reality. So reality is the thing that can prevent me from thinking I exist and not existing. So it's not possible for me to think I exist and not exist if I exist in reality, because reality instantiates that.
So is reality itself eternal?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, and how did you determine that? How did you determine that?
I determined that reality is eternal. Like I don't care if it would be or not. I don't think that's relevant to the argument. I don't understand your question.
So you hold on a minute. Let me get this straight. You believe reality is eternal? Yes or no?
Yes. What does this have to do with the argument?
Now, how did you determine reality is eternal?
Well, this is a separate conversation, so this isn't relevant to my previous point. I don't understand how is this like. What is your relevance to my previous point?
I just want you to answer the question. How did you determine that it's eternal?
I don't understand how this is relevant to my previous point. Like this is a different topic.
Are you committing now to dodging and evading the question?
This is a separate point. So I'm happy to talk about this.
Are you committing? I just want to know. Look, this is a yes or no question. Are you committing now?
This is a separate point. So you're bringing up a red herring.
Okay.
A red herring.
So I'm happy to talk about this. How do you know?
Wait. I'm happy to talk about your red herring.
How do you know?
But first, I want you to address the previous point. Like you brought up a separate point that has nothing to do with my previous point, which debunks your position. It seems like you're dodging the actual point. Like I use induction just fine, but whether or not reality is eternal has nothing to do with my previous point. So my previous point was, how can I exist?
Because if reality is not eternal, then it's contingent.
Wait. So my question is how can I think I exist and not exist? You said this is somehow possible in your worldview. So go ahead and explain to me how this is possible in your worldview.
I didn't say it. No. I didn't say it was possible in my worldview. I said it's possible in the worldview where nothing is ultimate.
Right. So in your worldview, if God didn't exist, this is possible.
Correct, because
this is a problem in your worldview. In your worldview, logical contradictions are possible.
No, that's not. Listen. That's not. They're not possible.
Okay, so let me ask again. So if God didn't exist,
TJump, now you're trying to dodge from the question I asked you.
No, because you're
very skilled at it, but I'm not. Like, it's not going to work.
No. So again,
I want to know.
I asked you a question first. My question was, how can I exist?
Actually, I asked you the question first.
No. Remember. I asked, how can I think I exist and not exist? That was the question. Then you asked your question about, how do I know reality is eternal? But that was after. So first I asked, how can I think I exist and not exist? You said, in your worldview, this is not my worldview, this is your worldview. In your worldview, if God didn't exist, this would be possible. So in your worldview, this is possible. This is your worldview, not mine. I don't think it's possible.
No, it's not. It's not possible. It's not possible because God does exist. So it wouldn't be possible because God exists and he exists necessarily.
Right. So if it's
okay, so it's not. So in my world, so you're look, TJump, look, you're being extremely dishonest and you're misrepresenting.
I'm trying not to be dishonest.
I didn't say that. I didn't say. Listen, I didn't say contradictions were possible. I said, listen, I didn't say contradictions are possible. I said that aside from the Christian worldview, they're possible. They're not possible in my worldview because I hold to the Christian worldview.
So okay. Go back. So you said the reason that this is not possible is because God exists. That means if God didn't exist, it would be possible. So in your worldview, if God didn't exist, this would be possible. So you're saying in your worldview, if God didn't exist, this would be possible. So that's the thing in your worldview. This isn't in my worldview. This isn't any philosopher.
Yeah, but the worldview where God doesn't exist is not possible. So then everything within the worldview where God doesn't exist would not be possible either. So it's not a possibility in my worldview. I'm just giving a conditional statement to show the implication.
So you would need to.
Let me finish. To show the implications of denying the worldview that I'm talking about here. So I want to know from you now that you've dodged. You
haven't answered the question yet.
Yeah,
so I'm asking. You said this is an implication. You said this is an implication of not accepting the God worldview, which means you need to show it as a logical conclusion to what happens if you don't believe in God, essentially. So you're saying if you don't believe in God, one of the
I already did. I
haven't followed this. So you're saying if you don't believe in God, this leads to the conclusion that you can think you exist and don't exist at the same time. Now, I need to understand how this is possible. I don't accept there's a God. Most rational people don't.
Yeah. Okay.
So go ahead.
Thank you. Because in a world, in such a world, nothing is ultimate. So everything that occurs will be born out of a metaphysical vacuum or void. And in such a case, right?
Well, that's a straw man.
There's no causal connection ultimately because you asked me in a worldview where God doesn't exist, right? So we're talking about what is ultimate to all reality. So there is no ultimate in this reality. Okay?
No, there is. So I say there is an ultimate.
If there is no ultimate. If there is no ultimate, hold on, let me finish. If there is no ultimate, okay, then you don't have things like laws or impossibility or necessity. Okay, you don't have those things. So that is a position that I'm responding to. Now, I want to know from you.
So
I want to know. Okay, that's fine.
You haven't answered the question.
That's what I was.
Listen. Answered the question.
TJump.
You're evading the question. Straw man. So I didn't say there was nothing ultimate. I said there can be lots of ultimate things, none of which entail a God. Like the very beginning, I said all of those things that you explained can be explained by an ultimate thing which isn't a God. It lacks consciousness.
Okay.
So all of those
I'm referring
things,
to ultimacy. I'm referring to why an ultimate is necessary.
Right, and I'm saying we can have an ultimate that doesn't have consciousness. That was the very first argument.
So that's your position. Now I want to know from you: is reality eternal?
Outside of some part of it is outside of space and time. So it's. Would you call that eternal, or are you? Like, would you say God is eternal, or
there was never a state of affairs wherein reality was not actual.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you determine that?
Because it's reality. There is never a state of affairs where I can think I exist and don't exist. Therefore, I can conclude reality is eternal.
No. Listen.
Well, that
Did
literally
reality exist before you did? Did reality
Yes.
exist before you did?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I want to know. So your little subjective experience isn't relevant here.
Yes,
I want
it
to know
is.
from you. I want to know from you. How did you determine that reality is eternal?
Because I can't think I exist and not exist ever at any time in past, present.
That has nothing. That has nothing to do with whether or not reality is eternal.
Yes, it does, because it tells me a immutable fact that's true in all points in fact in reality. That is, whether it's inside of time.
All you're telling me is that you can't conceive of existence and non-existence. That doesn't tell me that reality could have popped into existence yesterday. Listen, reality could have popped into existence yesterday.
What did it pop into existence from?
You could still verbalize. Yeah, it could have spontaneously come into existence.
From what?
Out of nothing.
Nothing is reality. If nothing existed, that would be reality.
There was nothing.
If there was nothing, that would be reality. So reality would still exist.
No, because nothing literally means no thing. So then that wouldn't be reality.
If nothing was there, it would be reality. Reality would be nothing. If there was nothing, reality would entail nothing. That would be reality. Okay. So reality is all things that exist at all times, which if it was nothing, would be a thing.
Nothing doesn't exist. Nothing doesn't exist.
So what you're saying is incoherent here. So I can say, even if there was absolutely nothing, that nothing would still be nothing. And that would
nothing. You're reifying nothingness. That's the problem you're running into.
No, it's just a negative property. So if there are negative properties, those negative properties can still be described by the laws of logic there. So the nothingness would still be reality. So what you're saying is incoherent. Reality can't pop into existence. Reality is always necessarily there, even if there's nothing. So reality can't randomly pop into existence. Complete gibberish. That's like saying, can God randomly pop into existence from nothing?
No, because you're telling me reality is all things that exist. That's what you told me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So nothing means that there is nothing that exists. There are no things that exist. So nothing doesn't exist itself. You're reifying nothing here.
No, it would still be. It doesn't make any sense. If nothing was if all of reality consisted of nothing, that would still be reality.
Okay, so you're just telling me that.
Are you saying it wouldn't? Are you
telling me?
Are you saying?
You're telling me that there is just a state of affairs. That's not what I'm asking about. I'm asking you about everything in existence, everything that does exist. Okay,
whatever the state of affairs is would be. Did all of these things?
Those are terms. I'm not asking. Listen,
those are synonymous terms.
You're answering a question I'm not asking you. You're answering me a question I'm not asking you.
Okay.
I don't disagree. I'm not. You're trying to make it controversial, and it's not controversial.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
You're telling me. Yeah, because you're just telling me. All you're telling me is that there is always a state of affairs.
And that's reality. That's synonymous with reality. So what?
So then reality is just a state of affairs. That's what you're telling me?
Like all of the states of affairs, that's reality. So all the things that exist, you can describe those as a state of affairs. That would also be reality.
Are there any spontaneous occurrences?
Possibly, yes. Quantum mechanics, maybe. I don't know what this is relevant.
And so these spontaneous occurrences, including everything that does exist now, are those spontaneous? Did that spontaneously come into existence?
I have no idea what you're asking.
Is the physical reality? You're a physicalist, correct?
Sure. Materialist, you mean? You're talking about physicalism? Is that the brain?
I meant materialist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did this physical reality come into existence spontaneously, or is it eternal?
Eternal outside of space-time.
Okay, so this physical reality always there was never a state of affairs wherein this physical reality was not actual.
Yes, space-time is emergent from other more fundamental physical properties that didn't come into existence.
So how did you determine that was the case?
Evidence and justification.
That's a throwaway answer.
What?
It's non-specific. That's non-specific. That doesn't refer to anything.
Well, it does, because it refers to our previous conversation. Like our previous conversation is what constitutes justification of knowledge. So if I have some methodology that, like the one you presented was viciously circular, so the one you presented fails. I have one that isn't viciously circular, so mine actually works, and I can get knowledge from my methodology.
Okay, so how did you determine that reality, or the physical reality, was always actual?
By using
what was the line of reasoning?
By using
what is it? Be specific, please. Be specific.
By using the knowledge that I've actually accrued, the definition of knowledge that we found that isn't viciously circular, we can use that to build things like logic, math, science, and use those to learn things about the universe. Yours is viciously circular, ours isn't, so ours gives us justification, yours doesn't.
Okay, that doesn't answer the question.
What?
I want to know from you, how did you determine Be specific here. Don't just tell me I use reasoning. I want to know what the reasoning was that you used to determine that the reality, the physical reality is eternal. What is the line of reasoning that you employ?
The definition of knowledge I use. So what is your, like, the point I'm bringing up here is
what?
That
yeah, you're gonna have to be more specific. You're just dodging and evading now. You're being nebulous.
Justified true belief. So I have a justification.
Reasoning?
I have a belief. I have a justification, and it's true. So it's knowledge.
Okay. What are those beliefs, and what led you to that conclusion?
The justifications, which are used.
What are those justifications?
The way to differentiate imagination from reality through novel testable predictions.
How does that necessitate that reality is eternal?
Necessitate. It increases the probability it's true, which is what justification is. Justification does not necessitate anything. All you need is to increase the probability. So if you're
just trying to fast look. You're not going to fast talk me. I want to know. You're giving me.
Wait, remember,
justification.
Justification is something that can increase the probability a proposition is true than false. So if I can have something.
What was the line of reasoning? What was the line of reasoning?
So if I have a methodology that can increase the probability a proposition is true other than false, like science, that gives me knowledge because I now have a justification for a belief.
Okay. What did you employ that determined
science? Is science the answer you're looking for?
I want to know from you. What is your position? I'm not looking for an answer in specific. I want to know your position.
I have no idea
how you made the
science.
How did you make
science? Is how we learn
energy. If I ask anyone on the street, how did you determine X? This is not going to be a complicated question.
Science.
You're making it complicated.
Science is the answer. Science tells us things.
Okay.
Made up revelation doesn't tell us things.
Science is provisional. Okay.
Provisional? Yes, science is provisional.
Yeah, science is provisional, right? So,
yes.
Or the claims in science are provisional.
Yes.
Okay, that means that they are not. They don't make truth claims in science.
Yes,
science
they do.
does not make truth claims,
yes,
or they don't prove
do.
things. No, they don't. This is basic. Basic.
It is basic science. It's called fallibilism, which is the consensus in science and philosophy that knowledge, which is a claim of truth, doesn't require certainty. So yes, you can make claims of truth without certainty. You just need justification. Justification doesn't require certainty. It just needs to increase the probability of a proposition being true rather than false. So yes.
So what you're telling me, so then you're telling me that your framework is necessarily true.
Yeah, you cut out. Say that again.
You're telling me that your framework isn't necessarily true?
Yes, it's probabilistically true. It's what justification means. You don't need to be.
Yeah. So then your framework is contingent.
No, the probability doesn't make a framework contingent. So the question is that you're disagreeing with the consensus in philosophy in every field of science that knowledge is fallible.
I'm not claiming. We're not talking about fallible knowledge here. I'm talking about the fact that when you make claims, I'm talking about when you make claims about anything, they're subject to further revision, and
that's what fallible means. So we are talking about fallible. Yes, fallible knowledge, fallibilism. Okay. Fallibilism is the position that you do not need certainty for knowledge, and they can be revised. Yes.
Correct. Okay. So then I want to know from you, when you say I use science to determine the reality is ultimate or eternal, what specifically are you referring to? It says that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So remember, I have a justification.
What are you referring to specifically? It's a very simple question.
I don't need.
You're just telling me. Okay, so good, fine. I use science to determine that God exists. Do you accept that?
You could. That would be great. Do you have evidence? Give me evidence.
Are you gonna? No. My science is a proprietary science that I've discovered, and I didn't determine that anything is true outside of this framework that I've discovered. Okay.
So if you're asking for my framework is justified true belief. Justification is something that can increase the probability of something being more likely true than false. Something that does that is novel testable predictions. Novel testable predictions give us science. Science gives us physics. And physics tells us that quantum fields created stuff.
Okay. So what you're telling me is that what you're telling me
specific.
No. Okay. So because it doesn't tell me how you reached a conclusion. Therefore, the physical reality is ultimate or eternal. It doesn't tell me that.
I don't understand your question here. So, like
the conclusion that you're reaching.
We only have evidence of physical stuff. Physical stuff is the most base thing we've ever discovered. Everything we discovered is more and more physical. Therefore, it's inductively concluded that it's physical stuff all the way down.
Yeah. Look. I think it's clear to everyone here.
I'm trying to answer your question here. Like I have no idea what you're asking.
No, you're not. You know you're not either. Look, it's clear to everyone here that you obviously don't know what you're talking about. Look,
Well, I clearly do. Like I've given you philosophical definitions.
No. Listen carefully. All you've given me are throwaway answers.
Science is not.
I determined this because I just reasoned that way. You're not being specific. What was the line of reasoning that you used? What was the scientific thing that you used to determine?
You want the papers? Are you asking for the papers, like the scientific papers?
I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me what you employed that therefore showed. Okay, therefore
novel testable predictions done in the papers of emergent spacetime and the amplitude.
What prediction? What predictions?
Do you want the papers? Is that what you're asking for? Are you asking for the papers? Like I don't have them memorized. I want you to just tell me. I just want you to tell me. I don't have them memorized. I don't have the papers memorized. Do you want me to send you the papers? Like what does this have to do with
you can send me whatever you want to. I want you to answer because you made this determination.
Yes,
and I want you to tell me
based on your position. So I gave a fully sufficient answer here. So I have wait. So I have a fully sufficient answer here. I have justification. Knowledge is a justified true belief. I have a belief, I have a justification, it's true. I have knowledge that's grounded in based off of the cogito where I can ground my logic and my math based on reality. I can fully explain everything you just said. If you want to go into a detailed analysis of the actual testable predictions presented in the paper themselves, you can go bother the authors of the paper. I gave a sufficient answer here. Your answer is God told me so, and the reason God told me so is because God told me so, which is viciously circular. Mine is not viciously circular.
That's not what I said, actually. That's not what I said.
Yes.
That's not what I said, actually.
You said
no. I didn't say the reason God told me so is because God told me so. That's not what I said. You got to focus on what people are saying and not just spew off garbage like you've been.
The reason I know God told me so is because God told me so. Is that not what you said?
Listen, wait, you gotta have to calm down. Calm down.
Wait, I'm trying to still man your position here. So I want to accurately represent your position. What you said is the reason I know God told me so is because God told me so. Is that not what you said?
No, that's not what I said. And you know it's not what I said either.
What?
You're grasping at straws. You're literally grasping at straws right now. I want to know from you.
I'm rewinding the video.
Hold on a minute.
I'm actually
hold on a minute.
Whoa.
Hold on.
You said I'm misrepresenting your position here, so we're gonna check this. Okay. So your position is that you have revelation, and the reason you know the revelation is true is because of the revelation, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
no, but that's not.
God told you so.
Different from saying
revelation. God told you so. Are those not the same thing?
No. You told me that I said that God told me so. Therefore, God told me so, or God told me so because God told me so. That's not what I said. I said I know that something is true, including that God's revelation is true because God revealed it. That's not the same as saying God told me so because God told me so.
Revelation. You're just
intentionally misrepresenting.
Is revelation synonymous with God told you so? Like revelation is God telling you something, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So revelation. You got a revelation, and the reason you know the revelation is true is because of the revelation, right?
Yes.
And revelation is synonymous with God telling you so. Right?
Correct. Yes.
So God told you so, and the reason you know God told you so is because God told you so, right?
Yeah, that's different. That's different from what you just said before.
That's a literal quote of what I just said.
No, you said God told you so because God told you so. That's not what I said at all.
How is that different?
That's an entirely it's entirely different because I'm talking about epistemology. What you're just talking about is entirely different.
Explain to me the difference between you have a revelation, so God told you so, and the reason you know the revelation is because God told you so, and what I said, which is God told you so because God told you so. Like how are those statements different? What is the difference?
Reason that God told me, the reason you're telling because that statement is you're telling me God told me so, and the reason that God told me is because God told me. That doesn't even that hardly makes sense.
Yes,
first of all,
I understand what you're saying. So when I say God told you so because God told you so, that is meaning that God told you so, and the reason that you know is because God told you so. It's shorthand. So yes, literally, if God didn't tell you so, like his reason for telling you so wasn't because he told you so. I agree. That's fine. The point of the sentence was God told you so, and the reason you know he told you so is because he told you so. That was the purpose of the sentence.
Okay. Right. So
and you agree that's accurate, right? That's accurate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Circular reasoning, vicious is circular.
Yes. Okay. I want to know from you again, because what is ultimate foundational in your worldview is not a mind.
Yeah, it's energy in my is what I think it is most.
Whatever is not a mind.
Yeah, I think it's energy.
And so there has been no revelation. All you appeal to, all you're appealing to, is your own mind, your own rationality, your own mind, which is finite. It's not infinite and it's not omniscient.
None of that is in my definition of knowledge.
In which case,
so that doesn't matter.
In which case, hold on, let me finish. In which case, all you are left with is whatever you surmise.
Knowledge. I'm left with
by
knowledge.
yourself, independent of that which is ultimate and foundational.
I have knowledge.
You have no way of determining the ultimate nature of reality.
Well, again,
and that's exactly. Hold on a minute. Let me finish. And that's
you're kind of skipping over the point. So
that's
the
exactly. Let me finish. And that's exactly the issue that we're running into here. Because
right. I mean that is the issue. You've skipped the entire topic. You've skipped the topic. So the topic is what is the definition of knowledge? My definition of knowledge is a justified true belief. Nowhere in that definition does it say anything about what's ultimate. You don't need anything ultimate to have knowledge. So what I'm left with my own human brain is knowledge. I have knowledge. I have knowledge of the fundamental nature of reality with my own human brain. Knowledge doesn't require anything. Nowhere in the definition of knowledge does it say anything about the fundamental nature of reality.
Okay, so then the problem that you end up running into then, because you don't have a foundation, or because you assume a foundation, but you don't assume it when it comes to knowledge. Your worldview assumes it, but with respect to knowledge, you don't assume it.
Say that again. I'm not following
the problem here. Yeah, you don't assume with respect to knowledge that which is foundational. Your epistemology does not. Your epistemology does not necessitate that which is ultimate. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then all you're left with is a realm where the reality you claim to live in is indifferentiable from a realm where that which exists, all states of affairs, are born out of a metaphysical vacuum, meaning that they are all spontaneous occurrences or random occurrences. Okay, then how do you differentiate, given your methodology, between a world that is born out of chance and spontaneous occurrence and the world that you claim to believe in now? How do you differentiate between that?
Because I believe in reality, and what you're describing is reality being not reality. So if something can, if I can think I exist and not exist, that would be synonymous with reality being not reality. I believe in reality, which can't not be reality, because then it wouldn't be the reality I believe in.
I didn't say reality not being reality. I didn't say that. I said that the reality listen, I didn't say reality not being reality. I said that whatever worldview you're espousing is indifferentiable,
right,
between that self, that worldview, and a world where everything that occurs is spontaneous and random. In such a world, you don't have intelligibility.
Right. So
you may have a local sense.
How do I differentiate? So you asked how I can differentiate. So here's how I can differentiate. The thing you're describing, what you're describing, is where someone can think they exist and not exist. That is reality being not reality. So a reality where someone can think they exist and not exist is the exact same thing as reality being not reality. In my thing, I believe in reality. I don't believe in reality being not reality. So I can differentiate between those two, because in mine, I believe in reality. What you're saying is reality being not reality.
I'm not saying reality being not reality. I'm saying that the reality or the state of affairs, because if you're just saying that that reality refers to states of affairs, then the state of affairs in the grand scheme of things is that everything that occurs is random and born out of chance.
No, it could be completely necessary.
That's what you're telling me.
Be fine too. So again, that has a relevance. So the question here is what you're saying. How do I differentiate between what you're describing? You said it. You can't differentiate between what I'm saying and a completely randomness world. Yes, I can, because in a completely random world, where by random you mean where logical contradictions are possible, reality can be not reality.
Yeah, and how do you differentiate between?
Because I believe in reality, where it can't be not reality.
So basically, your belief in that is what substantiates and actuality.
My existence proves that. So I can't think I exist and be wrong. So my existence proves that.
No, you can exist in a world where there are logical contradictions.
No,
are you telling me you can't exist in a world we can't?
So if there was,
you're telling me you cannot exist in a world where there are no logical contradictions,
yes,
and that spontaneously it just happens, and that spontaneously listen.
Yes, I'm saying yes to your question. So yes, you cannot live in a world with logical contradictions, because if you live in a world with contradictions, then you don't live in a world with non-contradictions or with contradictions. So yes, you can't live in a world with contradictions. No.
Yeah. So if you believe that, then you're gonna have to answer, how do you differentiate between these two worlds?
Because if I lived in a world,
let me tell you. Locally speaking, with respect to your own subjective experience, a world where we have it grounded in something. Okay, and the grounding is you just say reality and this is the state of affairs.
So the answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
or
can I answer?
or
I'm
let me
trying
finish.
to answer like
No,
4
because
times.
I'm not done answering asking the question.
Okay, fine.
As opposed to a world where it may seem to be the case that it's operating logically, but that realm exists within a broader reality of chance.
Okay, so chance doesn't mean logical contradiction. So your definition of chance is wrong. Secondly, reality can't not be reality.
I didn't say it didn't mean that.
I did. Literally, no definition of chance means logical contradictions. But
I didn't say they did. That's not what I said.
That's literally what you're saying. You're saying in a world where there are logical contradictions. That's what you mean by chance.
No, what I'm saying is that everything occurs spontaneously. Okay? Now, there would be no logical contradictions, but that's not what chance means. Okay? What I'm saying, the world that you are operating.
So you're bringing up two different things.
There are no laws, right?
Yes, there are laws. There are laws. There is. Those are all laws.
Let me finish. Not ultimate.
Yes, those exist.
Speaking,
yes, they are ultimate. They are. They describe reality.
Yeah.
And there is no God.
You're gonna have to stop over talking. You're gonna have to stop over talking.
You have to stop getting things wrong. Like
so
yes,
then
those exist,
in the world that you're talking about here, in this world.
In that world, A equals A. Reality cannot be reality.
Let me finish. Everything that occurs, every state of affairs, every proposition verbalized is born out of chance.
Wrong. So that's a straw man. Okay. Next.
No, when nothing is ultimate, then yes, that's what
wrong.
It means.
That's a straw man.
If nothing is ultimate. If
wrong,
nothing is
ultimate.
If nothing is ultimate, listen. If nothing is ultimate,
I mean, I've already addressed the straw man. So I believe in ultimate things.
Okay, no, it's definite. It's by definition.
Your definition isn't evidence. So you making up a definition isn't evidence. It's just you making up a definition. I define your God as a dumbass who's illogical. So your God by definition is a dumbass.
It logically follows.
No, it doesn't.
Okay?
There's no logical contradiction. There's no logical contradiction. Where's the logical contradiction?
I'll explain it to you.
Go ahead.
What is ultimate is going to be the reason why anything is,
reality.
Can be,
yes.
cannot be.
Reality.
Okay.
No
now,
doubt.
if there is no ultimate, then everything that occurs
there is an ultimate. Like, why do you keep going to no ultimate?
I know that. I know that's what you believe. I'm telling you that you cannot differentiate between your worldview.
I just did.
The worldview
I just did.
You didn't because what you just said.
It differentiates.
What you just verbalized.
Just debunks everything you just said.
What you just verbalized.
I just disproved you.
I
just disproved you.
You're going to have to listen.
So I did listen, and I've debunked your same wrong thing 5 times. Reality, I can differentiate every single time because what you're saying is reality isn't reality. If reality is reality, which it is right now, because I exist, then guess what? You're debunked. I've just differentiated between the two. If reality is reality right now, and I think I exist and I exist right now, guess what? We have logic.
Problem is that okay, good. Logic. So then the way you differentiate is you're telling me that reality operates in this way.
Reality is reality.
Does reality operate this way
right now
for a reason? So reality is ultimate,
because it's reality. It's a part of its nature. Yes.
Okay. Good. So how did you determine the same question again?
That's irrelevant to the question. You said it was impossible for this to be the case, and I just demonstrated it's possible to be the case. How I determine it is irrelevant. Epistemology is irrelevant to the ontology that is possible.
I know that.
Then why are you bringing it up? Why do you keep asking how do I know? Because it's irrelevant.
Because what I'm asking you is a question about how you determine.
That's irrelevant to ontology. You just said the difference.
This is relevant.
You said you know the difference between epistemology and ontology. We're talking about ontology. Is it ontologically possible?
We're talking about. I'm posing 2 different ontological states of affairs, but I'm asking you. The question on the table is how you differentiate between them, how you make determinations, and I'm asking you within this system that you're verbalizing.
Because the one you're talking about, reality isn't reality.
How did you determine?
That's how I differentiate.
Let me finish.
I just answered.
Let me finish.
You've already finished 5 times, and I've given you the answer 5 times. So the answer that is still the answer.
All you're doing is repeating the same.
I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you.
Go ahead. All you're doing is repeating the same thing.
Stop. So I've told you the correct answer multiple times, and I'm going to continue to tell you the correct answer. This debunks your dumbass presup answer. Reality is reality. That gives us the laws of logic. It is a fundamental nature of reality itself to be reality. This is not a contradiction.
Now, is that a grounded? Is that statement an empty assertion? Or do you have a reason to
reality? I know it's true because I exist.
No, listen.
Listen. It's grounded. It's grounded in my existence. I can epistemologically know this because I exist.
Okay.
That's how I epistemologically know.
Either the statement you just made is going to be an empty, baseless, groundless assertion.
No, it's proven.
Or there's going to be, there's going to be a reason. Or there's going to be a reason.
I just told you
that
the reason.
Can point to. No, all you just told. No. Listen, I'm asking you a reason.
Let me answer it again. Let me answer it again.
A reason how you, a way that you
listen.
What I mean when I tell you reason, I'm telling you a way that you've determined.
Yes,
that this is actually
I'm giving
the
you the answer. So the answer is the way I've determined that reality is reality and not reality.
No, that's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you.
That's literally what you asked. You're asking, how do I know?
No, I asked you, how do you know that reality behaves? How do I know that? Right, exactly.
Yes.
Is this way.
So that's what I'm answering. Shut up, or I'm going to mute you. You asked, how can I differentiate reality from your straw man of reality being not reality? I can show that reality is this way because I exist. I think I exist, therefore I exist. I can't think I exist and not exist. Therefore, reality is reality.
That doesn't mean that all. That doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean.
It literally does.
It doesn't follow from that. It doesn't follow from that. That all that it doesn't follow from that. That everything.
Yes, it does. Let me explain to you how.
You're gonna let me finish. No. You didn't even let me finish.
Okay,
you didn't let me finish. So you don't know. You don't know what I'm gonna say.
So
yeah, because you can't. Because you can't handle. You cannot handle your position being criticized or scrutinized. You can't handle it.
The way I can know that this applies to all of reality is because it's not possible for me to think I exist and not exist. If it was possible, then I could think I exist and not exist. Clearly, I don't think I exist and
you're just repeating the same claim over again.
This is an argument. There's premises and a conclusion. So premise one, if the realities are non-differentiable, like you say, then it is the case that I can think I exist and not exist. I cannot think I exist and not exist by the fact I'm currently thinking and existing. Therefore, I can differentiate between reality being reality and the bullcrap you're saying. Argument, QED, premises and conclusion. Which of the premises was invalid? Which of the premises was false?
All you did was just go back to repeating the same.
Which of the premises was false? I gave you an argument.
I want to know.
I gave you an argument. Which of the premises is false?
I want to know. I didn't claim anything was false. I'm asking you to substantiate your premise.
That's what the argument does. The argument is the thing substantiating the conclusion. So the argument is, I can tell the difference between reality and your straw man by saying in your straw man, I can think I exist and not exist at the same time. I am not thinking and not existing at the same time. Therefore, I am in reality and not your straw man. So I can differentiate which of the premises is false.
So I want to know. Yeah. So now again, you're just begging the question again, telling me that you don't. Let me finish. You're just begging the question again. You're telling me that you think something and that is differentiable from the negation of the premise, or the negation of
the premise. Like,
yes, you're telling me that there is not a contradictory state of affairs.
Yes, I
want to know, how did you determine that state of affairs you're verbalizing does not coexist with its negation? Or any state of affairs for that matter.
Because
how did you determine that?
My existence is currently disproving that. So the fact that I am thinking and I am existing
it doesn't.
Disproves that.
No, it does not. How does it not because a contradiction is both the affirmation and the negation. So the negation could coexist with the affirmation of the proposition. The affirmation of the proposition does not negate the negation of the proposition in the world where there are contradictions. So I want you to tell me, how did you determine
that there's two features.
Let me finish.
Wait, I understand what you're saying. Wait, I understand what you're saying. So
that what you were talking about.
You're misunderstanding the argument.
Is applicable to all of reality.
So the argument is that I can think I exist and not exist. So can I think I exist and not exist? This is not the same proposition being both affirmed and not affirmed. This is two different things. Me thinking I'm existing and me existing. So if we are in a logically the world you're describing, I am thinking I'm existing while not existing. Two different things. Now, it is not the case I am thinking I'm existing and I'm not existing, because I am currently thinking and I exist right now.
That doesn't falsify. That does not falsify. No, it does not.
Wait. In order for your proposition to be true, in order for your position to be true, I need to both think and not exist. If I'm doing both of those things, if I'm thinking and existing, you're false. For you to be true, I have to be doing one and not the other. Does that make sense?
You're just no. Again, you're just presupposing the second law of logic at that point. You're presupposing it.
That was what I
want to know. How did you determine?
I asked you. In your worldview, I think that's what you said. You said that in my worldview or whatever, you can think you exist and not exist. That was my question. Can I think I exist and not exist? You said yes. If there's no God, then you can think you exist and not exist, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
Okay, so if I can't think I exist and not exist, if I'm thinking and existing, then that debunks your position because I can't think and not exist because I'm doing both.
No. Okay, now what you just told me, you just verbalized one state of affairs without actually defeating its negation. All you did was tell me you presented me with a state of affairs, and you're just importing into that,
No,
or you're
I'm
just
not.
packing into
I'm
that.
using your
You're
example.
smuggling into that. No. Listen, you're smuggling into
You're
that.
not giving an
The
example.
second
You're
law
just
of
making
logic
stuff up.
with your example.
You're not.
No, I'm not. You're telling me it's false. You're just telling me it's false. You're telling me, listen. What you're telling me is false because it contradicts. But that's the very thing we're talking about. How did you determine
the laws of logic describe reality? So laws of logic are all in reality. So if there's reality, you have laws of logic.
I want you to know how you determine that. That's a claim. I want to know how you determine that.
Because it's reality. Reality is reality. That's the laws of logic.
No. How did you determine? How do you determine that that's reality? How did you determine that?
Because it's
now it just sounds like you're being viciously circular.
I'm not understanding your question.
That's what it sounds like to me.
So how do I know
now
the laws of logic?
I'm
not understanding your question here. So how do I know the laws of logic apply?
What you're not understanding is that you're being viciously circular.
No, I'm definitely not being viciously circular because there's nothing.
Okay, good. Then I want you to tell me. 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 Then I want you to tell me.
What is vicious circularity? I want you to tell me. Stop, or I'm going to mute you. Stop, or I'm going to mute you. Stop, or I'm going to mute you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. That's not a threat.
What is vicious circularity?
Look, you can mute me if you want to. That just shows that you can't handle the conversation. Go ahead.
Okay, you're muted. Now, answer the question. What is vicious circularity? Oh, I think he left. That's okay. Victory is mine. All right. Anybody else got any questions? Yeah, that guy's a dumbass. All presups are. Like, I owned him so bad.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
What's up? That was interesting. I'll tell you that much. That was very interesting.
That was something.
Yep.
And you probably made it nowhere with him.
Well, I showed that he's dumb. Like, I showed his argument is viciously circular and mine isn't, and then he just claimed mine is viciously circular without ever... Because he doesn't even know what vicious circularity is. He admitted he doesn't know what vicious circularity is, and he's like, "Oh, yours is viciously circular."
He still has his hand up.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm done with him. I'm done with him. He's terrible.
Well, I mean, I was really enjoying that. I mean, like if he left on accident and you're like victory's
well,
mine,
I moved him to the audience,
he
so
left on accident, but you won't let him back on. Then
yeah, I'm bored with
Do you want him to come back so we can answer questions to you?
This is also streaming on the 24/7 Flat Earth server.
Yeah, sure. You can come back and answer questions. We can just
This is
there.
all over the place. This debate, you know that?
Nice, cool.
Yeah, I never left. Actually, I'm sure, and I think you know that. You put me back in the audience.
Yeah, I didn't see you. I thought I was looking for you to let you back in.
You should have looked more carefully.
That's fair.
Okay,
that's fair.
So yeah, I never left, and the question that I asked you has still been unanswered.
No, I didn't answer.
I answered it 4 times. You begged the question. You're embarrassing.
Okay, you're back in the audience now. I've answered your question. The answer is we can know reality is reality and not your pseudoscience false reality because it exists. So I exist, therefore I know reality is reality. If you want to come up and answer questions, that's fine. If you bring it up again, we're just going to kick you. All right. Anybody else got questions? Want to interact? Go for it.
There's some people coming back in. I'll let people in.
Hey, JRobin, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, definitely.
So earlier in the debate, you claimed that intelligibility couldn't exist if the Christian God didn't exist. So I'm just wondering, what's the argument for that?
Because the Christian God has the necessary properties. Okay, one, he's a mind, meaning that there is revelation that's occurring, and that because we are finite and we don't have access to the nature of reality, we require that there is revelation that's occurring from that which is ultimate, by which we can actually understand and surmise, or understand and determine what the nature of reality is. That also includes. What do you say? Why is what specifically the case?
Why is it the case that you need revelation to
because we're finite.
Interpret reality.
Because we're finite, and we don't have because we're not omniscient. We don't have access to the very nature of reality and why things are ultimately the way they are. So everything that we assume about reality isn't actually grounded in anything epistemically.
Why do you need to be omniscient to know that?
What do you mean? Why do you need to be omniscient to know the nature of reality?
Yeah, I don't see
Because
why
the nature
it
because the
entails
nature of
omniscience.
reality is much broader and grander than our understanding of things.
How would you know that?
What do you mean? How do I know that? It's by definition.
According to what definition?
Reality, right? We're not. First of all, we're not eternal, and then even if we were eternal, we're not omniscient. Okay, so there's two requirements. We need to be eternal and omniscient. So we don't know.
Yeah, why are those requirements?
For knowing how reality operates.
Why do we need to be eternal and
when we make statements about reality, we invoke universal things. We have to have access to those universals. In order to have access to those universals, let me finish. And this is exactly the issue with TJump. He doesn't have access to these universals.
I'm going to mute you
so
if you
try to have access. In order to have, I want to clarify his
question. Real quick. So one possibility of what he's saying is if solipsism is real and I am God and my mind is the only mind, then I am both eternal and necessary, and I can limit my own knowledge, and I still have knowledge of reality. So what he's saying is possible. Your definition of reality does not entail that we know everything about reality. We can be eternal and necessary and be the fundamental nature of reality, which shows his question is correct and legitimate. And so you'd have to
in that case, he'd just be admitting that there is a foundation and that it's eternal and necessary and omniscient. In which case that would just prove that you need that in order to have.
Well, it's not omniscient because he can limit his own knowledge. So if he limits his own knowledge, he would still be eternal and necessary, but not omniscient.
Eternal and necessary? If you're not omniscient, then you don't have access to the nature of reality then in that case. Because the nature of reality is
I'm just asking for a justification for that.
Wait, does the creator actually need to have complete absolute knowledge in order to create things?
Nope, it can't because it's logically contradictory.
If it's engaging in revelation, because we are not omniscient ourselves, then the revelation is going to need to be from an omniscient being, which is the Christian God himself.
Well,
why is revelation
need to know enough?
Because I just told you the reason revelation is necessary is because by ourselves we don't have access to the nature of reality. So
why would that follow that revelation is necessary?
I fear that
because if we don't have access to the nature of reality, then we don't have bases or grounds to make assertions about reality. Because everything that we assert, and this is exactly what I was pointing out earlier with respect to what is there not being any ultimate at all. Okay, because that world is indifferentiable from a world where there is no ultimate. So we don't have any epistemic grounds in that worldview. The Christian worldview grounds ontology and epistemology. It's the reason that we have, for example, knowledge, argument, intelligibility, rationality, and more. If the Christian God or if the God that you're purporting were to miss any of the properties of any of the essential or necessary properties of the Christian God, then you'd lose one or more or all of those things.
I fear...
Okay, so I don't understand how that answers my question. I asked, why does it follow from the fact that we are finite entities and beings that require revelation?
Yeah, I feel like my question also was really addressed.
I missed that last question. What do you say?
Does Aura want to go ahead?
Oh, I can go first because for me it's I don't see why a god would have to know literally everything in order to reveal what is comprehensible to humans. He would just have to know enough to be able to know what humans can comprehend and the knowledge that he wants to give to humans. I don't see why anything else would be necessary for that god to know.
Because then that god is not always truth revealing in that sense. Okay, the god can exude falsehood because it doesn't know everything. It doesn't have access to all propositions or all states of affairs. Okay,
but what if it just doesn't reveal anything that it doesn't know?
Let me finish. If the basis of our epistemology, foundationally, I'm not saying that we can't be wrong about things, but I'm saying that the very basis of our epistemology is from a God that is not always truth revealing, which is another property of this. I mean, so the omniscience and the always truth revealing go hand in hand with each other in this instance, because the epistemology is going to be based upon that which is always truth revealing and ultimate.
Hang on, you can't. How can you use God as an epistemology when you can't use epistemology to verify God?
Wait, may I first have my question? Because I have another question around the same vein, because like,
Go for
what
it.
if that God simply refrains from trying to comment on that which it doesn't know? Thus, it is always truth revealing because it's only drawing from what it knows to be true, and that it while not necessitating the omniscience.
All right. Well, the problem with that is because honestly, it would just destroy knowledge. Period. Okay, because that which is, if it doesn't know something, right? If there are things in reality it doesn't know, then the thing it does claim to know can't be said to be known either, because that is offset by the set of things that are not known. So that what the propositions that he is revealing to you cannot be said to be knowledge either.
Some things
Question.
It can't know all.
One second. Question. Imagine God created a box that didn't know what was in it. He just put an object in the box, didn't know what was in it, but he knew everything else. You're saying that the fact that he has a box that's like 1 foot by 1 foot box and he doesn't know what's in it means he can't say anything. Like all knowledge is now gone because he just doesn't know what's in that one box.
Yeah, you don't have grounding. This is exactly what the other Tom was asking. If there is even one thing that is not truth revealed from God, or that God doesn't have access to, the proposition, okay, then you destroy grounding for your knowledge, period, wholesale, because
So
your
pre-assuming
epistemology, your
absolute knowledge
epistemology.
instead of fallibilism.
No, I'm not presupposing absolute knowledge. I'm telling you that the very foundation of your knowledge itself is going to depend upon that which is actually foundational, ultimate, and omniscient itself.
That's called infallibilism. But so you're saying if God created a box,
no, it's not.
Well, this definition of infallibilism. But if you create a box where God puts something in it and he doesn't know what's in it, he blinded himself from what's in it. Everything else about the universe he knows. You're saying that now he can't tell us anything. All of his knowledge is gone because he doesn't know this one fact. That's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that the knowledge that he has couldn't be said to be knowledge at all. Because it's offset by the falsehood or the things that are not known.
It has to be absolute, like we said.
Yeah, so if a guy creates a box and he doesn't know what's in the box, then all of his knowledge is lost. Hilarious.
Yeah, like that's, well, what if God oh God, hang on. I need to find the quote because I think it actually would be really relevant.
So God can't create a box.
I have a question for TJump.
It's from
No, because his nature is that he's omniscient, so that's logically impossible.
Yeah, you could find the quote. Somebody had a question for me. They can ask while we're waiting for you to find the quote.
Well, we were proposing a God that doesn't know, and to quote Wittgenstein, what we cannot speak about, we must pass over in silence. So a God which doesn't know, what's in that box, can just kind of pass over it. Just and I think that would still hold that the God hasn't told you an untruth, so that's necessarily still true.
His definition.
You're roboting. Yeah. I couldn't hear the last part.
His definition of knowledge entails that you must know all facts to have knowledge, and if there's a single fact you don't know, then nothing you count qualifies as knowledge. It could be true, but it's only incidental that it's true.
That's not my position.
And he needs absolute knowledge.
That was a nice try, though.
Wait,
I thought you said that
only God can supply.
It could be the case that we accidentally, randomly get things true, like we have beliefs that happen to be true, but if we don't have absolute knowledge, then we don't have justification. I thought that wasn't that the position?
No, my position when it refers to God's omniscience is that is necessary for intelligibility. I didn't say now for something to be knowledge, then by definition it would be infallible. Okay, so if we know something, then it would be infallible. But there are things that we can believe that are not knowledge, but we think are knowledge. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about God's omniscience as it relates to our ability to know things. Okay, so we don't have a reliable epistemology in a world where, really, if you don't have a reliable epistemology, I wouldn't say that we have an epistemology at all. In that world where God does not know things, or he exudes falsehood.
So his question is why can't he be reliable about all but one thing? And why is that no longer counted as reliable? So if it's reliable to every single fact except one proposition in the entire universe, how is that not reliable? Because that would fit the definition of reliable.
For the same reason that if God were to only tell one lie, it would destroy everything. It would destroy intelligibility. Because
what is the reason?
Because the foundation of your epistemology needs to be grounded in something. Now, if it's grounded in that which is not always truth revealing, that which is not omniscient, then you don't have a basis by which to claim or grounding by which to claim that such a state of affairs is actual, that you claim to have been revealed to you.
Only if
There is
you
no
use your
basis.
definition of terms.
Yeah, so your
we don't-
definition.
Actually, my question goes into what he just said, if I can ask.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to clarify. So your definition is so that if God had a single proposition he didn't know, then all of his knowledge is undermined, which just shows how ridiculous your definition of knowledge is. Go ahead. What's your next question?
Yeah, I read a few days ago, a few weeks ago, the definition of virtuous circularity.
Virtuous and vicious?
Vicious circularity, and it has to do with impredicative statements, like statements that reference themselves. Like the principle is like you cannot invoke a property that is dependent on the existence of the property itself, or something like this. So from this definition of vicious circularity, it seems to me that both JRobin and TJump's epistemic foundation is viciously circular, because every time you say reality is reality, that's a vicious circular. So my question would be, how do you separate yourself from
it would only be
vicious
viciously circularity if it was reality, like if the argument itself was the justification. The argument is just a description, so it's not viciously circular because the argument itself isn't talking about like a proposition contingent on another part of the proposition. It's simply descriptive. So it's like if I said, I think I exist, it's like saying the sky is blue. It's describing the state of affairs. The state of affairs is the truth maker, not the proposition. So it wouldn't be self.
No, because I asked you the justification, and that's what I asked.
Is the state of affair the thing that the proposition reference, is that viciously circular then?
Vicious circularity doesn't apply to existing things. Like the thing exists. It can't be circular that it exists unless it exists because of itself or something.
Yeah, but if you reference a property of something that exists and you justify the existence of this property by referencing the thing that exists that has the property.
Yeah, if I justify why it exists, but I'm not justifying why it exists. I'm saying, how do I know it exists? So my justification of my
neither was I.
Is what? Yes, yeah. So it would be, that's a different thing he's bringing.
So you're contradicting yourself, TJump.
No. He's saying that the vicious circularity comes into play if you talk about the existence. Like if its existence is contingent on itself. But I didn't bring that up. We were talking about epistemology, not ontology there.
Exactly.
But vicious circularity and epistemology is different. So it's a separate thing. I'm not contradicting myself. Okay. He's just bringing it up in the context of ontology, and we weren't talking about ontology.
I know that. I was referring to epistemology. Okay. If you're going to appeal to
reality,
you
have no idea what you're talking about.
And you're going to call it vicious circularity. If you're going to call it,
stop, I'm going to mute. Stop, or I'm going to kick you to the because you just have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You admitted you have no idea what vicious circularity is. Does that answer your question?
No, that's not what I said. Actually,
you have no idea what you're talking about.
So it seems to me that the way I understood your answer is that you say you subtract yourself from vicious circularity by mentioning that you're only using propositions that refer to something that is not circular.
Yeah, so they refer to objects that exist, states of affairs. It's not, the states of affairs aren't justified by the propositions.
Right, but in the definition of vicious circularity, they talk about ontological properties. They don't talk about proposition.
We were only talking about epistemology. We were not talking about ontology. I wasn't talking about the ontological justification of anything there. Nothing in my argument, nothing we talked about was about ontological justification.
Okay, so when you say reality is reality, that's epistemology?
Yeah, it's just a description of reality. So like,
right,
I know
so
reality is reality
it's
because
analytical.
I exist.
It's only analytical then, yeah?
Essentially, yeah. It's just describing the state of affairs. It's not giving a justification for the state of affairs. It's just describing it. Describing my knowledge.
So it's arbitrary.
No, it's a description. So it's not describing ontology. So I've already answered your question. This has nothing to do with ontology. We're justifying epistemology, not ontology. So if it was trying to justify ontology and saying the ontology was true because of the ontology or something in the ontology, that would be viciously circular. We weren't talking about ontology. We're talking about epistemology. My epistemology would be circular if I said my justification was the argument, I think, therefore I am. But the argument is a description of my experience. My experience isn't circular. You can't have an experience that's circular. Circular experience doesn't make sense. Next question. Anybody else?
What was the benefit of this debate?
Money.
Nice.
Actually, I have another question, just out of curiosity. What you two think of the tenability of pantheism as a concept?
Which version? Like, I like naturalistic pantheism, which you can find on the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy under the section of pantheism, section 6, I think, which is just science, naturalism, essentially. So it depends which version of pantheism. I don't think the ones where God, there's a mind to it, are reasonable, but I think the ones where nature is divine and just nature is fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Robin, did you want to answer too?
Yeah, no, I don't hold to either pantheistic positions. There is one foundation. There's one foundation, and that is the Christian God.
I think he asked, like, is it tangible or tenable or something?
Tenable.
No, it's not tenable.
Because to me, it's like, if like all of knowledge is only possible if God is always revealing and God is the source of all truth, then would it not be the case that like if all of experience itself is like truly you experiencing reality, would that not make like God
you
necessarily
can't,
like all of that existence?
No, because, well, first of all, those two are not analogous. Okay, and this is exactly what I meant. You're finite. So you don't, there's never a case where you experience all of reality, because that would mean that you experience everything that exists. Okay, if reality refers to everything that exists, and you say I experience all of reality, okay, and it's not just a definition game. This is literally, so for example, it's not a composition division, okay, because it's not merely okay, but that's what reality refers to. It is not merely linguistics. Okay, if I say it's a white fence, and I say I saw the fence, but I didn't see the full thing, well,
is all of the fence white?
That's just a deficient.
Is every particle of the fence white?
No, that's not.
So it's a composition division fallacy. Exactly. You're referring to a part of it.
Listen, yeah, TJump. I know that.
Well,
that's the point. So the point is definition. Hold on. The point is definitions are why definitions are relevant and why linguistics are relevant. Okay.
Definitions
if the
are the
definition itself. No. Listen. If the definition of reality itself, okay, is everything that exists, then it logically follows that everything in reality would be ultimate. That's different from saying
that's a composition division fallacy.
That's different from saying the fence. I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to explain.
You're bringing up topics from the past that have nothing to do with the question. So the question was pantheism. We're just going to kick you to the audience if you just keep bringing up stuff that I've already debunked. So that's literally like saying the fence is white. Oh, there's a particle in the fence that isn't white. Oh, well, that does not what a white fence means. So it's literally a composition division fallacy. So go back to the actual question.
The symmetry breaker. I didn't finish explaining the symmetry breaker, but okay.
Well, I also feel like this came from just like
you lost already.
I just meant kind of like the content of one's own experience, not reality as the entire thing. But if one's experience is something that can't be trusted and it comes from God, that would sort of
it can't be trusted. It cannot be trusted independently of that which is foundational and ultimate, because they don't have access to all of reality. Okay, for all they know, there are contradictions, which destroys intelligibility. There is no uniformity or identity over time. None of that is actually the case. They think so locally, but that's not actually grounded in anything. They have no grounding for the knowledge they hold
that God's revelation is truth. Like we already hold that like God is always truth revealing, and God reveals all truth. So for me, it seems like it would follow that at least some part necessarily like present in all of the universe, which to me is as good as pantheist.
I missed that last part of what you said. You're roboting. Are you done? Did you finish talking?
Let me repeat again. Like the idea is that like if God is necessarily like everywhere,
you're still roboting really bad.
God, I'm sorry.
Try like leaving.
Give me a sec. Yeah,
right,
just give me a minute.
Bring somebody else up for another question while we wait.
I got a question.
Go for it.
For JRobin. This was brought up, but I don't know if it was clarified, because you hold to the same position as like Darth and all the other presups, that there's no intelligibility without God. But would that in itself be an intelligible claim without God?
In a realm where God doesn't exist, no, it wouldn't be.
Wouldn't be an intelligible claim, meaning
not if God didn't
intelligibility. Meaning there can be intelligibility.
Listen. No, that wouldn't mean that there can be intelligibility. That just means the statement itself wouldn't be intelligible. The statement that there is no intelligibility would not be intelligible. And by the way, that's if you want to claim that's a contradiction, why would contradictions be a problem in that world? Why would
Is anyone
contradictions be
else
a
seeing
problem
the problem here, or is it just me? Am I not getting it? Because
what are you saying? What are you saying is not intelligible? The statement is not intelligible, or what the statement represents is not.
Either or. Either you can.
Well, what are you saying?
You cannot have intelligibility without God.
Yes.
You're saying you can't have intelligibility without God. Is that itself intelligible without God?
Is what intelligible? The statement or what the statement represents?
Intelligibility, the statement, what it represents. Can there be intelligibility without God? If you say no.
I think Red Robin's position is that if there was no God, it wouldn't be intelligible, but it is intelligible because there's a God.
Yeah.
So does anyone else see the contradiction with that criticism? I mean,
well, even if there was a I don't see the contradiction. Even if there was a contradiction, that would exist within the realm where God doesn't exist, and in such a realm, the contradictions wouldn't even be a problem. So I could state contradictions all day long. It wouldn't matter in a realm where there is no God, and everything that occurs is spontaneous.
So I think.
Well, if I grant that,
I think what he's saying is that if God or if Tesla exists, Tesla cars would exist. Tesla exists, therefore Tesla cars exist. So if Tesla didn't exist, Tesla cars wouldn't exist. So he's saying if God didn't exist, then the sentence wouldn't be intelligible. But luckily for us, he is. Therefore, it is. So I don't think there's a contradiction in that statement. I don't see the contradiction you're talking about.
It's just presupposing God exists, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's definitely the problem, but I don't think it's a contradiction, though.
Well, it just seems paradoxical to use it as a criticism against a non-Christian worldview.
Well, the contradiction
is paradoxical because you just internally analyze the worldview that the person's holding to.
You're right that if it's only from his worldview that this is the case of other worldviews. In other worldviews, this isn't the case in their worldviews. So it's a straw man of other worldviews that's true based on his worldview. So in that case,
it's not a straw man. It's not a straw man.
Literally,
it's
literally a straw man.
It's not a straw man because I asked you what you believed. I represented what you believed. Okay,
no,
that's fine.
I believe you can't have logical contradictions. So there's no logical contradictions in my worldview. In yours, you're saying there is. So that's a straw man. That's literally what a straw man is. My worldview says there are no logical contradictions. Yours says, well, there can be in your worldview. You're describing my worldview with a straw man. But next question. Anybody else
I'm saying that it logically follows.
I got a question.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
So if God is a truth bearer, or the only truth bearer, or the ultimate truth bearer, then why does he say things in the Bible that are obviously untrue? Like, rabbits chewing their cud, or, sheep giving birth to striped and spotted young because they were having coitus in front of branches or a fence or something.
Smallest seed is a mustard seed.
The order of creation, stars existing after plants. Like,
yeah, none of these. First of all, the rabbit thing, they do, they eat multiple times in order to digest their food. And other statements about creation or other things those aren't falsified. Those haven't been falsified.
The mustard seed is the smallest seed.
Oh yeah, they have.
That's been mustard seed.
Evolution
is true. That's a relative.
Just because you follow Nephilim free doesn't mean that science hasn't figured it out. Like,
I don't follow Nephilim free actually.
I don't mean like you per se, but just because evangelicals follow Nephilim free.
What does that have to do with me?
He's right. Well, I'm saying that
it was
the Bible
a joke. It was a joke.
So
what is the question is there's lots of false stuff in the Bible. If God is a truth bearer, why is there lots of false stuff in the Bible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there aren't any false things in the Bible.
Any?
How is it? No. There's nothing.
What about the book of Genesis? Does it follow chronologically?
The first chapter, yes.
So is the second chapter's account of the creation wrong?
The second chapter is not a chronological account. The first chapter obviously is.
Oh, okay.
Because it says
Convenient.
first, second, third, fourth.
Yeah.
Well, no, the first chapter explicitly says first, second, third, fourth day, so it has to be chronological. The second is not mentioned that it's chronological. It mentions different events that have happened and their connection to each other.
Okay, but Genesis mentions a firmament, and we know there's not a firmament. So, for a truth bearer, he's not batting 1,000. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't know what the firmament.
Well, ask
refers
physicists.
to.
He'll tell you what the firmament is.
Wait.
So you're telling me physicist is right? because he's a Christian and he believes in
as far
firmament.
as what the Bible
Therefore,
says,
he's right.
Yeah, as far as what the Bible says, yeah.
You're gonna have to try better before trying to come up with these objections.
Well, no, I'm just saying that, like,
harder,
for a
please.
truth bearer, he's not. Well, you can't just say try harder when I come up with a bunch of examples.
No, you're not. No, I appeal to the Bible, and then
virgin
you
birth, the
and
sun
then-
stopping in the sky, talking donkeys, talking snakes.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat asked what game I'm playing. I'm playing Hades.
Do you know what a kind is?
Yeah, like the Bible referring to kinds.
I think that's a question for JRobin. What is a kind?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly the specific node of the tree that it refers to, but it's a general class of animals that through time got more diverse.
Oh, a global flood? Like that's another thing that didn't happen, and it says so in the Bible.
Yeah. Again, those are just claims that you've been made, and I'm waiting for a substantiation.
Oh, I didn't make them. Science confirmed they didn't make them.
Okay. There hasn't been a legitimate substantiation to that claim.
What about Noah's Ark? How about Noah's Ark?
What about it?
How did the animals survive on it?
Yeah.
Before the water got there.
There were like four people. There were four people talking. I didn't.
Were the dinosaurs on the Noah's Ark?
Yeah. And we have evidence that shows that dinosaurs and humans
what about,
did not exist
all
at the same time.
One at a time. One at a time, guys.
What about the fish?
Yeah. Real quick, I just wanted to hop in to whoever. I don't know who said it. Someone said science is saying these things. Science doesn't say anything. Scientists do. So,
right. Science does not prove.
Okay, well, you're splitting hairs because
those are synonymous. Those are synonymous terms. Those are synonymous terms.
JRobin,
synonymous terms. It's fine. You can say the word science and refer to scientists or the body of work of science. It's perfectly reasonable. All right.
Well, I mean, not really right there because JRobin was saying like, "Hey, substantiate it," and he said, "Well, I'm not making the claim sciences." Well, then
that's synonymous. That's synonymous with the body of work of science. That is perfectly legitimate use of science.
So he's not making the claim. So just other people are. So you would have to substantiate why they're correct.
Yes, that's how evidence works.
Well, I mean, they're in a better position to substantiate that than me, some dipshit on Discord. But the work has been done. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, but does that? Yeah, but are you just appealing to authority? That's a
yeah, I'm appealing to their authority
because they're appeal to authority is only fallacious if they're not actual authority. So appealing to scientists is not an appeal to authority fallacy.
Okay. Yeah. Bottom line, when you appeal to science, you're appealing to provisional claims, which do not falsify or verify. They make provisional claims that have to be revised. That can be revised amongst new evidence or something that shows that what the conclusion was isn't true or wholly true. That's basic.
Google.
However,
one at a time.
I will eat my computer if we find evidence of a global flood, like convincing evidence of a global flood. Science agrees upon.
TJump, I don't know if like maybe you just had some bad info with this, but no, the appeal to authority. This is the definition. I'm reading this offline. I can post the link if you want.
Why do people think I'm wrong? It's so dumb. Stanford Encyclopedia Philosophy on Fallacies. Go to it right now. Stanford Encyclopedia Fallacies. Go to section number, I think it's 5 or 6, no 9, 8 and 9.
Well, the general definition of
don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me again. I'm the expert here. So Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy on fallacies. Number 9, the vericonundium fallacy concerns appeals to authority or expertise. Fundamentally, the fallacy involves accepting of evidence of propositions, the pronouncement of someone who is taken to be an authority but is not a real authority.
Yeah, but read the rest of it.
This can happen when non-experts parade as experts in fields where they have no competence. When, for example, celebrities endorse commercial products or social movements. Similarly, when there is controversy and authorities are divided, it is an error to base one's view on the authority of some of them.
Exactly. So when there's
division, no one here is doing.
There's no division in the scientific community about the global flood
or evolution.
Look, the point here is that it gets into what we define as experts and whether or not.
No, it doesn't. Go to any university. They're not going to teach you a global flood happened.
Don't count.
However,
Ken Ham is not an expert. Next.
I would like to add something to science. Like when we study something in science, and if we are provided the same knowledge and the same education, we can repeat the science and evidence that we are reading and trusting. We can actually do it.
Yeah, and there's an experiment that could be done, but it's immoral because you would have to kill everyone just to
Wait. Why?
Just let me speak.
Yeah.
And left only the young ones that don't know about God. And would they came to the same conclusion that Jesus rose from the dead? No, because there would be no book.
That's irrelevant.
Okay.
That's irrelevant.
Questions
Anyways,
for questions
I'm
back on the
about
debate. You're gonna head out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave very soon because I do want to head back to the other server and then. So, is there any last question that somebody wants to ask?
Sure. Can God be found?
Found? Where? Like empirically?
Yeah. Can you find vision of God?
God is not a spatial thing, so I don't know, or physical. God can't manifest in physical form.
He doesn't exist.
Wait, but doesn't that make God physical in some form?
If he chooses to manifest in physical form, yes, but not like in his essence he isn't. No.
Yeah, that would leave.
I mean, God lost to the man whom he later named Israel in Genesis 32.
What are you talking about?
The manifestations would also be subject to physics.
I thought he won because he grabbed him by the balls.
Yes, and it would leave.
Basically. That's
I literally have no idea what you're talking. What are you talking about?
Forensic evidence, the high standard.
Walker.
What does forensic evidence have to do with God being spatial?
Basically, so Genesis 32, I forget who exactly it was, but I believe the original name starts with an I as well. But this guy meets another guy, they fight.
Yes.
And later it is revealed that guy was literally God. I believe that when he returns to Esau later, he actually says that God looks exactly like Esau. So it seems that there are ways to arrive at God, but at the same time, I could possibly quote Psalms 18:41, verse 128, lamentation, and 40.
You're cutting out again.
Cutting out again.
23 to 28.
You're cutting out again.
Yeah, sorry. I was just listing verses anyway where you can find that God can't be found in spite of his presence on earth in other verses.
Well, Jesus too, so.
Also a question, what is the God's fixation on foreskin?
I really don't. You're like cutting out really badly. What do you say?
He asked.
It's pretty cool. It's awesome to collect. You got to have lots of foreskin, man.
So guys who are in the server, stop. Let people who are new here chat. So he asked, what is God's obsession with foreskins?
It's not obsessed. Can you please ask like normal questions and not be?
That's a real question because
it's not very nice.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's.
Is there any final question? I have about a minute.
Do you have
left
ultimate knowledge of that? That's not a
valid question.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I have a question for you.
Yes, I do.
Right.
Go ahead.
One last question.
Who conferred that on your God?
You get everybody to the point where God is the only reason that we have intelligibility and logic and stuff.
Correct.
So I have that. I don't believe in God. So I can borrow from God's powers or whatever you're saying.
I didn't say borrow from God's powers.
I think he's
That's
asking.
Not the issue isn't whether or not you have intelligence.
Yeah, I think he's asking that he's an atheist. He still has knowledge. How is that possible?
So what? I didn't claim that's not possible.
Yeah, I think
how is that relevant to
I think the presupposition is that it's still possible for you to have knowledge, just like it's possible for atheists to be moral because God grounds those things, even if you don't believe in him. Something like that.
Okay, so what I'm getting to is that in that case, your God is ineffectual. I can continue being an atheist in my life, have happiness, love, and all that, and not believe in him. So the only effect that I have is when I die.
God will be real mad.
I don't even know what you're talking about. What effect? If God has mercy on the just and the unjust. The sun rises on the just and the unjust. That's what the Bible says. The fact that there is common grace. The fact that there is common grace, meaning that you can live an intelligible experience and have rationality, is irrelevant to the Christian position. That's not relevant to the truth of Christianity. It's not relevant to the truth of the Bible. It's not relevant to any of those things because the Bible explicitly claims that God has common grace to those people.
You're not answering my question.
Well, I
hardly understand your question.
Yeah, I don't understand your question either. So it seems like you're asking that we can live lives just fine without believing in God, and so belief in God doesn't change anything about the way we live our lives or something like that.
Yeah, like it
does have an effect. It does have an effect because a Christian has the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. Okay, that's an effect. That's an effect that it has. Other than that, then yeah, you can have a happy life. That's not the issue. The issue isn't whether or not you can have. The issue isn't whether or not the fact that I have a relationship with God.
Okay, well,
that's what's important.
What's the difference between you and me? What do you get from by having that relationship with God during your life?
Communion with Him, understanding things that are important to like spiritually discern, those kind of things. Communion with other believers, and then also ultimately eternity with Him and other believers. That's what I get. And I get forgiveness of sins through Jesus Christ.
So he's ineffectual. He has no.
No, it's not. I just gave you like 5 things, and then you're telling me, yeah. So okay, thank you for asking me. I know you're in the other. I'm gonna go there right now. So say goodnight to everyone over there, and then I'm tonight. So
yep, thanks.
Thanks for the
stopping
debate.
by. See you later. Yeah. Everybody else want to hang around, ask questions or whatever? Feel free. I'm gonna end the live stream. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Later.
I'm sad that he didn't answer the foreskin.